Over here. Jeff? It's almost 6. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I, I didn't. I don't know. ABC. But it just.
Oh, it's
Did you
gone.
call this meeting?
No, I didn't call it. I'm good. I was at the zoning hearing meeting.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge.
Buddy.
I pledge allegiance to the flag. Okay, hello, everyone. I'm going to set some rules.
Ryan gets
What happens is we're going to have the applicant representative come up to rostrum first. Then Bill Rudy. Bill, could you raise your hand? He's a township engineer. He will give his presentation. Any members of the public will come up next. You have up to 4 minutes. Tyler is a timekeeper. So so it'll be 4 minutes. So when it's 3 minutes, Tyler will say you have 1 minute left. And then we will ask questions. And be considerate, be respectful of the people, your neighbors. So if you have any questions, either direct them to us or they represent the applicant. Okay, so first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes April 8th of 2024. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There was no old business. New business is WellSpan Health. And if you could give your name, please, and how you represent the applicant, and spell your last name?
I'm Jeff Lobach, Lobach. I'm a lawyer with Barley Snyder in York, 100 East Market Street. And with me tonight is Joe Stein from Warehouse, who's our project engineer.
And the last name is Stein.
Okay, project engineer. For which project engineer for what company?
Warehouse.
Warehouse, okay.
And Michael Freeze, Trammell Crow Company, representing the owner as well. I spelled last name Friis.
And what's your job title, please?
Vice President of Construction.
Vice of what construction?
Vice President of Construction.
Construction, okay.
For Trammell Crow.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to be extremely brief. We came tonight to discuss a variance for the placement of our trash dumpsters, but the zoning officer, because they're going to be placed in the front yard, but the zoning officer told me that historically his interpretation is that as long as the front setback, which is 40 feet in this situation, is satisfied, he interprets the dumpster location as compliant. So we're not going to need the variance for the dumpster.
Well, variances for the zoning board, we deal with the waivers.
I know, but
Okay.
we were here to get your favorable recommendation. But we don't need it. So I'm going to ask Joe to go through the land development plan, and I'll sit down.
Sure.
Well, Jeff was so brief. I'm taking a moment here to bring up the plan itself. Just trying to connect to everything I need to.
This way you can allow the audience to see what's going on.
Sure.
When it boots up. Can everybody hear okay?
Yeah. The Wi-Fi, is there a password for that to connect?
Are you on a cloud?
No. I'm trying to connect to our server so I can bring up.
That's what I'm saying. Your plans are on a cloud somewhere.
It's at our server. Oh, you have your thing there. Okay.
Yeah. He's got one for him. See, I could bring it up too.
So while I go ahead and get this pulled up, again, my name is Joe Stein. I'm the Civil Project Director at Warehouse, working with WellSpan to develop at the site of Newberry Commons Shopping Center a neighborhood hospital development that is part of their new concept in the area. This is one of 3 locations. It's the first location that we're trying to get permitted and under construction. It's about a 19,000 square foot facility. It is a fully operating hospital. It's 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It is staffed with nurses, doctors, everything that you would expect at a hospital. It is a emergency department that will serve the needs of the local immediate community. So Northern York County gets this opportunity to have emergency level care within minutes of their home, as opposed to having to go down to WellSpan York Hospital down in York City. Similarly, the locations in Shrewsbury and Carlisle will also see a similar service provided to them. So we've submitted the land development plan. It's being reviewed by staff. We have a review letter that is making its way through. And unfortunately, this is not working. So hopefully that plan will kind of show up. I'm not going to adjust that right now because it's showing up. So as you can see on the screen, this is at the southern extent of the Newberry Commons Shopping Center. It's located between Jory Drive and Robin Hood Drive, directly east from the Interstate 83 northbound on-ramp. This is just north of the Planet Fitness, and previously the right-of-way for Leah Drive was extinguished to accommodate this development. We have parking surrounding the building on all sides. There will be some shared parking with the shopping center. Vasgood, who owns and operates the shopping center, has been working with us very closely to ensure that the development is favorable to them and their tenants. We have been working with staff to work through any issues, as we mentioned here briefly at the beginning, with the location of the dumpster. The right-of-way was previously extinguished. And so we prepared the land development plan in accordance to our best ability with the subdivision land development ordinance and the zoning ordinance. With that, we do have several waivers that we are requesting. There are currently 11 waivers, and I will summarize these very briefly. Preliminary plan submission, as we're seeking to go for a combined preliminary/final. Conditional uses, list of existing or proposed waivers, variances, conditional uses. We make note of that on the plan. Providing a site context map, providing existing resources and site analysis plans, preliminary resources impact and conservation plans, adding some of this information to the cover sheet and elsewhere. Access drives shall not connect within 100 feet of an intersection from another access drive. Drives shall be aligned with other access drives. Sidewalks are required, and double frontage lots are prohibited. And so why we're asking for these waivers is because of the existing developed condition of this property. This was the former Santander Bank. We're not doing a subdivision, though we show that through the plan, an exhibit was provided to show that 5 acres could be created and dedicated to the use of this facility. There are no other sidewalks in the area. There's no natural resources. And so a lot of these waivers are justified by the existing developed condition of that property. We certainly would love to entertain a condition for approval to the supervisors. Most of the comments that are remaining from the engineer's May 9th letter are easy items to address. And there's a few stormwater, a few traffic, a few ordinance related, and then the bulk of it is waivers and post-approval items such as signing and sealing the plans. Just today, we did receive the County Planning Commission comments, and we've reviewed those and don't believe that there are any of any significant concern that we can't address or feel that are necessary to revisit in any great detail. So it's kind of a high-level summary provided to you here. Happy to answer any questions that you may have and talk through any concerns.
All right, thank you. Okay, Bill, or anybody else from the applicant like to speak? Okay, Bill.
Okay, I don't have a whole lot to add. You have my memo from May 9th, kind of under zoning. We kind of talked about the variance request already, that the interpretation's been made that the variance isn't required. Under the subdivision comments, I will mention that We did get through, the traffic study came in late last week. We did get through the traffic comments, and we're satisfied with all the traffic comments
Okay.
at this point. So they've all been addressed. As far as the waivers go, I don't have any issue with any of the waivers that are being proposed. You know, there is some there that we haven't seen in the past, like the double frontage lot. We don't see that one very often, but in this case, it's kind of an existing condition, and currently what's out there. So really, unless the planning commission has any comments, or any questions, I really don't have anything to add at this point.
If I may ask a question for the engineer, we did have questions regarding comments 9 and 10 with the improvements to Jory Drive, which fall onto the property of Vasgood, the inlets that are in the cartway, but outside the public right-of-way. If there was any additional input that you could provide to that, if that falls under the township's purview and it's something that needs done, the applicant has essentially agreed to do it if it's deemed necessary, but it falls on private property, so we'd have to potentially get permission from Vasgood. So just wanted to talk through that a little bit with you.
Yeah, really what I was looking at is the drainage out there and making sure that nothing bypassed. I know I did kind of stop out there before I came in, and it kind of looks like that area is in a low point, and currently, you know, there's a lot of broken up pavement in that area, so I don't think all the water currently is getting to those inlets. So
Okay.
that's really what I was looking for.
So maybe
Try
just
and-
even a mill and overlay with correct percentages of slope towards the inlets rather than a replacement or resetting of the inlets. Certainly amenable to doing a mill and overlay of that area. We'd hate to try and have to reconfigure inlets, which could snowball into additional engineering, but if a mill and overlay would satisfy, we can certainly agree to that.
Yeah, maybe what we could do is meet out there and look at it, but
Okay.
what I was envisioning is it would just be an oversized box to bring it back along the
Okay.
curb. I mean, I didn't think it'd be that much of a change, so.
Okay, yeah, we'll meet out there and try and work through that.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Thank you both. Okay, any members of the public like to come up, and do you have any questions? You have 4 minutes. No one? Okay.
Jane.
Oh, Jane, okay. I missed you, sorry. So it's gonna be, give your name and address, please.
Hello, Jane Harmon, 205 Hemlock Lane, Edders. Is this a two-story building? I need to know that at first. Two-story or
My
one-story?
understanding is it's single story.
Single story?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said 19,000 square feet? And 365 days a year, 24 hours? Okay, and this is a WellSpan hospital?
Yes.
Okay, is it gonna be emergency only, or is it gonna be for like, if they have to be admitted, they can stay there? You're gonna have rooms?
They can be admitted.
Okay.
Long-term care would not be provided there, but short-term, overnight, maybe a couple of nights. But if it warranted extensive care, they would be transferred to WellSpan York Hospital.
Okay, long-term not permitted, okay, so it's just like a
Not
night or
necessarily
two
not permitted, just
Well-
not equipped.
equipped.
It would be more appropriate to transfer them to a more appropriately scaled hospital at that point.
And how many rooms?
10.
10? 10 emergency rooms, or
It's
10?
10 emergency rooms and 10 inpatient rooms.
Yes.
Okay, emergency, 10 patient, okay.
So that's total 20, you said?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm writing my notes here also. Okay, now I have another question. Currently, I know I had a neighbor that was transported with our local ambulance here to the hospital, and he requested to go to West Shore and was told that, no, we do not do that. We can only take you to the Harrisburg Hospital. So if someone's picked up locally here, would they be able to be transported to that hospital since it's a WellSpan? And this is UPMC that we service. So that was just one of my questions to get out there also.
I
You
can't speak to
following
how
me?
the operations of ambulances would work, but certainly would be an option to be transported there, certainly. So I don't know how the ambulance services work for each agency, but it's here. Hopefully this would be their first go-to.
Okay, that's all, I just wanted to
We don't
bring
have
it
an
to our
answer.
attention.
You have to maybe talk to the hospital administrator, or, but yeah, at this one, we don't have an answer to that.
Yeah, well, I'm just bringing it up
Sure,
that
no, it's good.
if it's a local hospital, if it's time of the essence, that would be the one to go to, but.
Oh, definitely.
So, all right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your questions. Okay, next.
Sandra Gonzalez, 140 Oak Road. So I'm assuming this is not a trauma center.
No, that's correct.
Okay, and when is this set to be open as far as if things go the way you all plan?
Our goal would be Q4 of '25.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, so questions from the planning commission?
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Jane?
Oh, who's,
Yeah, I mean, would this be like like a walk-in care center?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you can have patient drop-off or ambulatory drop-off as well.
Okay. Yeah, I like this project because of, brings people in, people will be working there, people will be visiting there. People will hopefully, go to our restaurants and that sort of thing. I think this is actually a good thing.
Absolutely. Thank you. We appreciate that.
yeah, Tony?
All right, thank you. Good evening. I have a few questions. Obviously, it's beneficial to have emergency and medical care to the community, but concerning a couple of things, the shared parking spaces, obviously, that's what you're proposing, right?
At the northern extent, yes. There's the proposed grass island, that buffer there that you can see between the two areas of parking. Those 20-some will be shared. The parking immediately surrounding the building on the east, south, and west sides will be exclusive to the hospital.
And when we say shared, you're sharing it with the shopping center?
Correct. Meaning if someone wishes to shop at Carnes and park there, they're more than welcome to. We're just trying to reserve the spaces around on the three sides of the building exclusively for the hospital needs, again, for emergency situations.
Okay, well, but we're using those parking spaces to calculate the required parking for a 19,000 square foot building. You want to elaborate on that, Bill? I'm just trying to understand.
Yes.
We are using those spaces to determine the
Correct.
required parking for this 19,000 square foot building. I've never had shared spaces.
Yes, so
concept.
one of the things we have to do per Bill's most recent letter is provide documentation that the shopping center as a whole still has sufficient parking.
Correct.
So that'll be provided for. But yes, we have a situation that through an agreement between the operator, WellSpan, and the owner, the Vascood LLC, that we'll have enough parking on site, and that's the documentation we'll
But you don't have
provide for.
enough parking if you don't have the shared
No, I
spaces.
believe we did have enough, yes, on the three sides, correct. Yeah, the shared parking is just a matter of the way the lot lays out, that there's the ability to continue parking in that area. We like the idea of the grass, provides a little bit of a visual buffer and separation from the shopping center, but it also just became dead area, and we couldn't get parking in there because we have like 25 feet of space that would have just been providing like a double frontage parking space. You would have an aisle, parking space, and aisle. And so we felt that it was an opportunity to provide a little bit of green space. We can't landscape it. It's over top of a Veolia water line, but maybe some light shrubs or some perennial plants might work in that area, or it might just be grass. But that's kind of the thought behind the parking there at that northern part.
Okay, so I guess you're expecting a letter from.
Yeah,
from them.
your concern's mine. That's one of the comments that is still outstanding that they're looking to address, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But so we understand that.
Yeah.
I just want to understand the
Yes.
concept of the shared parking and why it was necessary. So you
Correct.
don't think it is necessary, you're just wanting to have the opportunity to have parking there if needed.
Correct. It was, I don't want to say it was driven, but it was certainly the intent of the shopping center to maintain as much parking as close to Carnes as possible. And so that's what that parking is. And we expect it to be used by primarily probably the shopping center, since it is so close to the Carnes entrance.
I've gone through, there's lots and lots of paper here.
Yes.
24/7, 365, obviously you're gonna have lighting. I see Bill has a comment about lighting fixtures. You wanna elaborate on that a little bit? Is this gonna be lit up like a spaceship, or how's this gonna work?
It's going to be lit up within the parameters of the ordinance that dictate that. It's going to be bright enough to allow for safety and wayfinding through all hours of the day. And so certainly overnight, people coming for an emergency want to be able to find where they're going quickly and get there safely. So we are revising the plan to ensure that the pole heights, that the mounting heights do not exceed 20 feet. I think the next revision is going to come to you with a 16-foot pole on a 4-foot base or something like that. So we're shrinking the pole but increasing the base. It'll be compliant with the zoning ordinance upon resubmission.
Okay, and you're good with what they're proposing?
Yeah,
With the changes that
That's
they're proposing?
that's what I was looking for. I think it had a pole height there, but didn't have the base, so I didn't know what
Correct.
the total height was.
So that'll be, all the lights will be 16 feet?
I believe the poles will be 16 feet, but the mounting height will not exceed 20.
Yeah, the ordinance requirement is 20 feet. It can't be 20 feet above grade.
All right, so 4 plus 16, okay.
I think that's everything I have at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Just curious, how many doctors are going to be employed and how many employees will be there?
I don't have the staffing plan memorized. I do have access to that and can follow up with that information, but I would not feel comfortable coming off with just having it memorized right now.
Okay, I'm just trying to get the scope of what this is. Thank you.
I have a question on sheet LDO 2A, note number 30 deals with blasting. And what it states, number 30, blasting shall be limited to a maximum depth of 15 feet. So my question is, when you do any, well, first of all, when you do any blasting, now you realize you got fast food places there, you got the credit union, Carnes. Will they be notified? of any-
In the event of any blasting, and we're hopeful that we don't have to do any blasting on this. There's no basement. The only thing that we may encounter is some minor blasting for some rock, but all procedures and protocols that would be required for a blasting permit would be followed, and certainly that would extend to giving proper notification to all surrounding properties.
Will the police department be notified of any blasting?
Dave, they're required by DEP to submit a blasting plan, so it's really kind of defined as what needs to be done
Oh, it
there.
is, okay.
Yeah, yep.
All right. And if there's any damage to these businesses, who pays for it?
That would all be in accordance with the permit issuance restrictions, however that's handled. I'm not, unfortunately, a blasting expert. I wish I was.
Well, I like that wording added,
Okay.
note number 30. Because all it says, blasting to 15 feet can have a additional.
I think we
wording.
could probably have it modified to say something in compliance with DEP regulations.
No, I like to see that,
Yep, that works.
sure. And I think I addressed before about the parking, 59 required, proposed 111. You said the shares, okay. How about medical waste? How is that, you have a dumpster, but how is medical waste disposed?
In accordance with all applicable regulations that would handle that. It would not be placed in the dumpster. It would be in accordance with any other medical operation that would be in the municipality, county, state, or Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So I don't know the specific procedures that WellSpan has, but this is WellSpan Health. They obviously have a great reputation in our community, and they'll follow all the regulations that are set forth for handling those kinds of materials.
Okay. So you don't know if it's going to be an outside dumpster or?
Oh, yes, the dumpsters for the regular waste.
Oh, yeah, I
There'll be
understand that.
an
That's
exterior
outside.
dumpster, yes.
I'm talking about the medical waste.
No, the medical waste would be handled mostly internally and disposed of accordingly.
And then you have proposed grading plan on LDO 6. Like, how much grading do you plan on doing, and where would it be located?
So the nice thing about this site is being previously developed is it's relatively flat. We do have a little bit of fill on the east side of the site. So if you're looking at the screen above, on Jewelry Drive side, you can see a little shape like this. It's a black shape around the one parking lot. That's a little bit of a retaining wall. It's about 4 or 5 feet high, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. But that's really the only retaining wall that we have to achieve to get some fill. We're really tied in on all sides by existing improvements, so we really have to make the site work to the best of our ability. But that's the only location where we have a significant enough fill and not enough space to grade out, where we'll have a little bit of a retaining wall. Do you remember if it's an export site? So I can't recall if it's export or import to make the site balance, but
But you say like there'd be like minimal grading?
Correct.
Since there was a bank there?
I mean, there'll be earth movement and certainly a lot of trenching for utilities and to get the desired grade, and obviously the foundations for the building. But it's not it's not steep topography that we have to accommodate here, which is nice.
And then on sheet LDO 7, you talk about stormwater management, and there's 3 infiltration basins, 1, 2, and 3. Now, what's going to be visible from the parking lot?
Just your regular storm inlets that you see along the curb lines. Everything will be underground, not visible. So really, all you're going to see is the catch basins themselves, and all the water will drain to those underground facilities and then drain off-site in accordance with your stormwater management ordinance and the regulations set forth in the NPDES permit.
So if you're looking down, you'll just, I mean, so you said there's going to be grates or
Yeah, just the regular parking lot catch basins, inlets that you would see, no different than what's out here in the parking lot.
okay, because infiltration basin 1 is the one on the left coming down.
Yes.
For the audience. And then there's a couple more.
Yeah, so we have those facilities on the east, south, and west sides of the building, and again, they're underground. The plastic chamber structures, proprietary product that we use frequently and contractors have a lot of experience with. They work well for us.
Okay.
Very similar to what was done at the Planet Fitness.
Pardon me?
Very similar to what was done at the Planet Fitness. It was
Okay, well,
underground
that's good.
detention there as well.
And I know Tony brought about the lighting. Are they going to be adjusted properly? Because, you know, sometimes I go past Dunkin' Donuts, which is not your concern, but they don't seem like they're adjusted properly. Can you address?
They
make sure
should
that
be. They would be installed by professionals, and hopefully they install them per the plan. So yes, we expect it to be compliant with the ordinance. That information is provided to the engineer for his review. And then we certainly hope that it turns out appropriately.
And I'm interested, and what is the height of the building? And how many
I can't recall if we provided that information on LD2 specifically. It certainly,
didn't see it.
it has some architectural features that extend higher than the roof line in some locations, but it's compliant with the zoning ordinance, I'm confident.
So you think it'd be under 35 feet?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
and how many stories?
Single story.
Okay, 1 story and up to 35 feet, okay. Sewage plant. Act 537 sewage plant. Oh, and LDO 1, Act 537 sewage planning. Can you explain that, please?
So that's a standard note, and the sewage through here has been approved by PADEP. Planning exemption was obtained, and that information was provided to the township. So in other words, there's adequate capacity to accommodate the development from a sewer capacity standpoint.
And these infiltration basins are designed properly, so.
That's for stormwater
Sure,
management, yes.
stormwater management, right. They kind of go together, sort of go together, so, yeah. Does anybody else have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, could I ask another
Sure,
question, please?
go ahead.
I apologize, but we have a WellSpan facility in the community now on Old Trail, Valley Green Medical Center. Is there plans for that to be absorbed with this
No,
facility
this is a standalone operation, so this isn't a family doctor. Again, this is don't think urgent care and don't think trauma center. This is a standalone hospital. You break your arm falling off a ladder, you've got chest pains or something, this is a place that you can go to.
Okay, so that building and.
That'll remain, that operation will continue on. Healthcare is obviously a huge need in our community, and so you know this WellSpan has identified that and the time to get care is critical, obviously. And so providing this, these neighborhood level facilities throughout our community is really much needed, and we're really excited to be a part of it.
You mentioned Shrewsbury and Carlisle. Are these structures in those communities the same? I mean, it's just a standard
Yeah.
design that you're going to replicate? In
Very
the other-
prototypical, yes.
Exactly.
In the same kind of locale, like shopping center area, or are you purchasing property and constructing something?
Each one are a little bit unique, but yeah, I mean, they're very similar. Shrewsbury is actually adjacent to another WellSpan facility that is a primary care facility that they own adjacent land, and we're basically building them that as well.
Okay.
That's across the street from a shopping center.
Okay.
And then Carlisle is a very similar thing. It's a master planned community, which will also have multiple WellSpan buildings within that development as well.
Okay. Would you be looking to put the signage out on 83 directing people to a hospital?
That would be coordinated through PennDOT. If I imagine that there would, like the little blue H's that you would see along, I imagine that would be appropriate and contemplated at some point in time. And certainly with this, there'll be signage. A signage package will come before the township at some point. But yes, there would be appropriate level signage. Now, anything as far as signage right along 83 here, that's not being proposed as part of this plan. But wayfinding signage most likely is going to be proposed for the benefit of the community.
There'll be some kind of signage, you say, identifying that building beyond what's on the facade of the building? Or is that something that you're not sure
To be
of at this
determined.
point?
At a minimum, all I know is there will be signs on the building, and then wayfinding signage, emergency department turn left or enter here kind of thing at the ground level.
That typically comes in at a later date. The zoning officer would review that as a zoning permit application.
Right.
But we typically anticipate about 4 or 5 exterior building mounted signs. So there'll be, there's a canopy for the ambulance drop off, so that will have like an ambulance, like a lit ambulance sign. We typically anticipate 2 kind of branded, WellSpan signs on the side of the building that would be lit up as well too. And then there's just an emergency entrance at the main entrance for kind of patient walk-in. So as a typical package, we kind of anticipate those 4 general signs. And that's pretty typical to all these, inclusive of Shrewsbury and Carlisle and everything else.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just one, do you have your licensing in place for this, or is that
That's part of
something?
this process. So the licensing, this facility is the one that would hold the license essentially. And the
Okay.
other ones will be satellites to simplify the
Okay, and
explanation.
you have that now
It's in process.
in process? Okay.
Just want to add to that, how long for approval? How long does the process take for approval?
For the licensing,
Yes.
yeah, it's
I mean,
not
do you
my
have to go-
expertise.
I mean, do you have to go through the different boards like us, the supervisors, or?
No, that's Department of
Department of
Health,
Health,
state
yeah,
level
okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
And we're working on that. We did a 75% review with them. We did a 100% review with them. We actually just got comments from DOH, Pennsylvania DOH this morning. So we're working on those reviews concurrent to all this.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And just as far as, obviously this is the first, for the land development plan, we're here before you this evening, hopefully the next supervisors meeting. The NPDS permit, it's a general NPDS permit's being reviewed by the York County Conservation District. We've received administrative approval and it's in technical review now. So we're hoping that that's coming in the coming weeks.
Just out of my curiosity, did they count what was already paved there with your stormwater, or are you starting from scratch as far as your stormwater management?
We took credit for the existing impervious that was on the site and
Okay.
as permitted by the ordinance.
So it's just the additional that you were doing these structures for?
We took reductions, so with the NPDS permit, you're only allowed credit for 80% of the existing impervious. And so all of that was contemplated and engineered through the report. It's a pretty big report, and the plans that have been provided to staff.
Okay.
Just a general question as far as what's going to be the relationship between the Newberry Township emergency EMS ambulances and this hospital? Will they be sending if I call 911, will it go to this hospital or would it go to,
I couldn't speak to the operations of the ambulance providers.
so that's not connected with this at all?
Not with the land development plan, no. There's no requirement by the subdivision land development ordinance or zoning ordinance that would talk about the operations of ambulance services. If I knew, I'd be happy to answer that for you, but it's not directly related to the processing of the land development plan.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my question is like, just curious, like if somebody's coming for emergency from the north to the south on the old trail, are they gonna come across that parking lot with all them speed bumps? Or are you gonna try and direct them? I didn't see the traffic.
So we don't propose as part of this plan any changes to the parking lot, but we do have coordinated an access easement through the parking lot coming from Old Trail Road points north and coming down through. So if someone wished to try and shortcut through the parking lot, there is an easement to do so. And we'll say, should they choose to avoid those speed bumps, there's a lot of space that they could probably do so.
Well, yeah, we do that now. but-
Yeah, you know, that sounds good, but you're dealing with reality. You know, you're gonna people,
understood.
no, seriously, I think you should talk to management who owns the parking lot and make sure they have level service, because when we moved here years ago, there was potholes all over the place. I'm sure the older residents remember that.
Yeah.
You know, just a few years ago, so, I mean, it's a serious concern. I mean, it shouldn't
Understood.
be
And
taken lightly.
Yeah, we can definitely relay that to the property owner and express that concern. We do know that that property owner has invested a lot of money in improving the shopping center, and so I think the facility has greatly improved, but certainly understand their need for traffic calming, but yet how that impacts the site, we'll relay the message.
Because with a hospital, you never know who's gonna show up.
Correct.
So, yeah, you have to be concerned with patient safety, so. Are there any questions from the planning commission? Because if there's any questions from the audience, I know a lot, just come up and, because, no, this is a project, so this is important, so I'll allow that. So 4 minutes, please, name and address. Okay, up to 4 minutes.
My name is Maxine Kaufman, 540 Paddletown Road, Edders. I just want to say I think it's one of the better things that have happened to this township to have this hospital, and we should be grateful that they want to come and join our community. And WellSpan, I know, is a good community partner. So I just wanted to say that.
Okay, no, thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Sure.
Josh Grove, 385 Church Road. I just had a question about the parking.
Yes.
Was it just on the north side of that's going to be, or is it both sides?
This is the shared.
Okay. The only thing just from walking out of Carnes and things like that, a sidewalk on that end would be beneficial for anyone walking for their cars. You know what I mean? Right on this end here,
okay.
yeah. A sidewalk there would be just a safety standpoint. You don't
talking
want
about the
people
part
walking
that-
in the roadway.
That,
Yeah, right at the top towards Carnes, like to connect to those shared parking spaces would be beneficial. I mean,
We could take a look, see if that.
is that present, is that gonna be grass in your plan, right there?
Correct. As it's shown currently, it's grass.
That might be no, thank you for bringing that up. I mean, figure, it's probably a good idea, you know, what you haven't, you know, in pre-construction.
And we would check maybe with Veolia to ensure that they would allow it across their easement. I mean, it's currently parking, but before we did, we have to get their approval for these improvements as well. We've been working with Veolia. They've been not so quick to respond, but we've had some on again, off again conversations.
So in regards to sidewalk, you'll talk to, so in regards to the sidewalk, you'll talk to who, Viola and who else?
Veolia and the property owner.
Property owner, okay.
Yes.
All right.
We're certainly not opposed. We just have to make sure that it's allowable and a right fit.
Sure, oh yeah, definitely. Okay, anybody else? Sure, yes.
Sandra Gonzalez, 140 Oak Road. Is there any formal lease agreement of any type drawn up between the owner of the complex and WellSpan for the use of that parking? In other words, if tomorrow he decides to sell that facility. Is there anything in place that permanently gives you that? Is it on a lease payment basis? Happy agreement handshake?
So yes, there is certainly probably a variety of agreements, but to directly answer your question, yes, there is a land lease agreement that permits this development and shared access, shared utilities, and shared parking. So that would be memorialized. So if Vasco were to sell the property, Wellspan would retain their rights, and if Wellspan, very hypothetically, were to sell, the rights would go with that, and it would have to be updated as parts of agreements of sale and whatnot. But yes, there are agreements in place to the specifics of which I'm not fully aware, but I know that that's covered.
My other question is, when your architect drafted this facility, was it kept in mind the possibility down the road of adding a second level, or is this only ever always going to be one level?
I can take it. Flip a coin. So the way it's currently designed is just for one story for the foreseeable future. With current engineering and architecture, anything's possible. So they could do a second story, but right now it's contemplated only to be one story.
So it wasn't added in the design that down the road we may put a second story on this, so we're putting an extra pillar here, an extra something there?
No, not at all.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Angelica Woods, Grandview Drive. I was wondering, I don't remember how to read the plans, but where are the fire hydrants?
Okay, so there's
Are
actually,
they the things that look like nuclear things?
yeah, I'm gonna point to you over here.
Okay.
There's a fire hydrant in this little island right here that's
Okay.
existing, and there's one down by the KFC Taco Bell.
Okay.
And then there will be fire department connections at the building.
Okay, all right, and it's easy access by the fire truck?
Absolutely, yes. We made sure that the, and we have it approved, we actually
Yeah,
have a
fire
letter-
chief actually reviewed the plan.
Yep,
So.
I was gonna say we have a letter from the fire chief, so, and any other questions before I ask one?
And where is the main entrance for walk-ins and where is the emergency entrance?
So the ambulatory drop-off is on the north side. You can see the canopy, the cover, so that kind of tannish color that's at the top is the ambulance drop-off. The main entrance, I believe, for like passenger drop-offs would be on this left side, the west side of the building.
And traffic flow will be well stated?
Correct, yes. I mean, it's two-way traffic, fully circular around the building.
Thank you.
Bill, do we need, because one of the comments was about a 55-foot radii, does that need to be a formal waiver request, or since we have the approval from the fire chief, is that just acceptable?
No, actually, you will need a waiver request for that.
Okay. So then, subdivision comment number 12, minimum radius for access drives is 35 feet where truck traffic is anticipated. Oh, I'm sorry, and where truck traffic is anticipated is 55 feet. We have truck turning movements in the plan set that satisfy the fire chief, and so we would request a waiver to the section stated in comment number 12 to reduce from 55 foot down to 35. We do not anticipate tractor trailers accessing the site. If a driver got there and was in a dire need, they can get to it. We can handle delivery trucks. But we think that a 55-foot radius would be detrimental to the design of the site. So we'll be requesting that waiver in addition to the other ones stated earlier.
So you want a waiver of number 12, which is Bill Rudy's May 29th subdivision, section B. You want a waiver of number 12, you said?
Yes, please. In addition to the other ones stated.
Well, Bill, do you feel that's good for safety reasons, having a waiver for that?
Yeah, we took a look at the, as you mentioned, the fire truck. If that is the largest vehicle, then we should be okay, yeah.
So then it'd be 12 way, okay. What they're looking for is a minimum radius for an access drive is 35 feet. Where truck traffic is anticipated, is 55 feet is required. So that's what it states there. Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Okay, so that's, I believe, what, 11 waivers, and we discussed. And the first one is a preliminary plan application waiver. The way it works is, just to let the people in the audience know, you have a preliminary plan and a final plan. They come before us, and if a final plan meets all the, consistently is consistent with the preliminary plan, we can give approval for a final plan. And don't forget also, we're an advisory body, so we're going to take a vote, and just like any other, but we're going to take them individually since there's so many waivers. And then it goes to the Board of Supervisors, and they will decide on each, and then whether to approve it. Okay, so the first one is section 344.15, preliminary plan application. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Is that Dale or Tony?
Dale.
Dale, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, waiver number 2 is 344-20.E. It's a listing of existing waivers, variances, special exceptions, and conditional uses, so it's pretty much self-explanatory. So is there a motion to approve that?
I make a motion.
Okay, Jeff, second?
I'll second it.
Dale? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The third one is 344-20.E, site context map. And what a site context map is shows the location of proposed subdivision and/or land development within its neighborhood context shall be submitted. And it requires topography from maps, information about public roads and trails and public land. And what is the reason why you want a waiver for this one?
We discussed with staff if we felt that it was necessary, given the existing developed nature of the site and immediate surroundings.
Yeah, a lot of times when I find that important is there's not much development in the area, and you're not sure kind of where you're at. In this case, I think we all kind of know where we're at.
Oh, sure, yeah, okay. So is there a motion to approve?
I'll make,
Dale, second?
I'll second.
Jim? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 3 is the site.
Number 4.
Number 4, sorry about that, okay. 344-20.f, existing resources and site analysis plan. And what the ordinance says, for all subdivision land developments not considered minor plans, a plan shall be prepared by the applicant and the township with a comprehensive analysis of existing conditions, both on the site and within 500 feet of the site. And then conditions may be described on a basis. So they have to, for example, they have to have slopes in there, about streams, floodplains, vegetated cover, ridge lines, watershed boundaries, quite a few items, so. Okay, and the reason for that waiver?
Same as the last one and same as the next one. Again, it's a developed site. There's no sensitive resources there to document.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve? Okay, Dale. Second?
Second.
Okay, Jeff, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next one is 344-20.h, preliminary resource impact and conservation plan justification. That's on 50. And this should be prepared, not consider minor plans, and it talks about proposed improvements, fill, gradings, utilities, impact plans, but you know what? I didn't find out, what page is that on? I went through all 33 pages.
We're asking for a waiver from that section to not provide a separate plan.
Not-
Again, there's no resources that we felt needed
Okay.
documented.
You're asking for a waiver,
and the other required things to be shown are shown on the plan.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve? Okay, Dale, second?
I'll second it. Tyler?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next one is 344-21C2, statement acknowledging final approval. Okay, is there a motion to approve this? 344-21C2, number 6.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, second?
Can I ask you a question?
Oh, sure.
Why? Why? Why don't you want to do this? I don't understand.
It's just providing
Oh.
the information on the cover sheet.
Correct. Given the number of sheets, it was just to provide on the cover sheet, not all the other sheets, given the number of those provided.
Because you couldn't fit it, okay. Okay, so there's a motion on the floor and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next one is number 7, 344-21C.3, statement acknowledging review by the Township Planning Commission. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Tony, okay, second? Dale? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next one is 344-31R3, lowercase d, access drive alignment. And this is where, can you explain that one about where the driveway is
Sure.
kind of?
So certainly with this operation, access to and from the site is critical and imperative that ambulances and local citizens have the ability to get to where they need to as quickly as possible. And so the way that the site laid out, we had the opportunity to put some access drives that are in proximity closer to other existing access drives, i.e. those at the Planet Fitness that do not comply with the ordinance as far as a 100-foot separation. And so we are seeking relief from that section to have a separation of less than 100 feet. We believe that with the landscape barrier or the landscape buffer that's there, which is the curbed green island at the just clipping off the bottom of the screen, which is the south side of the building, that there's plenty of space for wayfinding and should not promote confusion to drivers. But nonetheless, with the layout, we need to pursue this waiver request.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Tony?
Second.
Tyler, second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next one is number 9, 344-32A, sidewalks required. And according to our ordinance, sidewalks are
Sir,
required.
if I may interject, you skipped
What?
number 9 is the
So we just did that one, access drive alignment.
no, number 8 was the access drives. Number 9 was the alignment.
We're on number 9 now, which would be
This one here, access drive alignment, right?
this one involved access drives, and then this also aligned with opposite side of the street.
Oh, crap, I didn't write that down. Okay. This one here, number 9? Okay. All right, so we're on 344-31R3D. Drive should be aligned with access drive opposite street located in relationship to the access drives. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Jeff, second? I'll second it. It's Dale? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, now sidewalks required. Okay. Next one is the sidewalks required, 344-32A, sidewalks required. An ordinance does require a sidewalk.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment on that one. You know, it is a requirement for sidewalks in our designated growth areas. I think it's important, even though we didn't do it for Planet Fitness, but there's gonna be a future here. Do you need a sidewalk around the entire place? Probably not, but I think along Robin Hood, I see people walking that way. They're gonna be in the street. I'm against waiving this. And that's all I got to say.
And are there any proposed sidewalks?
Just immediately surrounding the building. So if you look at the screen, everything that's shown in tan is proposed to be concrete. So we have a circulation around the building, certainly serving the parking lot. We certainly understand the desire to have sidewalk. It certainly is a safety item. We feel like once you get to the site, you're outside of public roadways and you can navigate through the site safely. My argument is always that if we provide sidewalks, we're encouraging people to walk there, and getting there is no sidewalks. So we would really prefer that people drive here. Certainly if there is a need in the immediately surrounding vicinity and someone needed to walk there, they could do so. Or if someone's visiting, they could walk basically to the property line, and then the sidewalk's gonna end. So say if someone's here with a loved one and they're hungry and they wanna go grab some lunch down the street at Maple Donuts or whatever's down the road, and they're gonna be able to walk along the property, then it ends. So we would prefer to encourage them to drive down for their safety, and that's why we were hoping to not provide sidewalk. It's not necessarily a deal breaker, but we don't believe that with connectivity to points primarily to the south, certainly to the gentleman's comment earlier about providing a sidewalk to the Carnes Shopping Center, that to us makes logical sense and maybe be the only extent of sidewalk that we provide, because there is a concentration of foot traffic going for people with their groceries from a front door to their vehicle. From the hospital down to the restaurants, once you leave the site, you're in the street or at parking lots or lawn areas. And so hopefully people would use caution or drive.
But also, if you don't have a sidewalk, it keeps your costs down and your profits increase. But I tend to agree with Dale. I think sidewalks are important. And I would vote no on this waiver also because, well, first of all, our ordinance does require it. And not only that, for curb appeal, I think it would be important. And I think you can find a spot to put, I understand what you're saying. Once you get there, you're going to walk, obviously, right? Once you get out of your car. But I think for curb appeal and anything else, it creates like a, almost like a boundary area. This way the edge of the property compared to just like more parking spaces. So I'm going to vote no on that one. Any other comments about sidewalks?
I just feel, and I do really like this project, but as far as the sidewalks, it's always a chicken and egg thing where, and not just you guys, but everyone always says, oh, well, there's no sidewalks anywhere else, so we want a waiver to that.
Yeah.
But if everyone always says that, then we never have any sidewalks, and not everyone has a car. So I'm sort of in the same boat. I completely understand where you're coming from with the sidewalk to nowhere idea, but that's just.
Did Planet Fitness get a waiver, or did they agree to like a 6-month type of note? Does anybody recall?
I wasn't here then.
I don't recall. We'd have to look into that, like a deferment, you're
Correct.
saying? Yeah.
Well, does that matter?
If a deferment was an opportunity in the event that the township saw that there was an increase in pedestrian traffic, or as part of a greater enhancement to Jory Drive or Robin Hood Drive, that the township was going to come in and say, okay, in 2026, we want everybody that had previously been granted this deferment to put in their sidewalk. In a lot of municipalities, we have that opportunity. And we certainly understand this is a recommendation and it's not a deal killer necessarily. I do think there are some challenges with getting it in there. It's something we can explore before we go to the supervisors. But again, if the other, Planet Fitness probably isn't going to be redeveloped anytime soon. Points to the south have been there pretty long. So again, the chicken and egg, I mean, we can do it, but the reality of other properties doing it anytime in the foreseeable future is probably slim. So we would entertain a deferment, but if you flat out wish to deny, that's certainly a recommendation we understand.
So pretty much what you're saying is because Planet Fitness created a precedent, you want to follow that precedent.
Not necessarily.
That's what I'm
No, I was curious to see if a deferment was an option. So I was curious to know if they had that opportunity that we could then piggyback off of.
But a deferment means will not be built, I mean, the sidewalks will not be constructed at this time.
That would be
It'll be
correct.
some future date. So in other words, you're going to have the hospital, the parking lot, and no sidewalks. Deferment means some future date. If somebody else does it, we're going to do it. That's what he's asking. which I don't agree with. I think every application is separate and,
Dave, why don't you just take the vote and, you know,
Okay,
we'll take
we'll
that
go
into
from there.
consideration and we'll go
Okay.
from there, all right?
all right.
Sounds good.
Any other discussion about sidewalks? Okay, all in favor of the waiver for the sidewalks required?
Aye.
So Jim is an aye. Opposed? So it's everybody else. So it's, was it? 5-1. 5-1, no. Okay. Okay, double frontage lot. That's 344-33D5. And can you explain about that, please? The double frontage lot?
Yeah, I mean, we're not creating a new lot here, but the ordinance prohibits double frontage lots, and so we figured that with the redevelopment of this property, the waiver was required. It's an existing condition that the applicant did not create, and so we seek relief because we have frontage along both Robin Hood Drive and Jory Drive.
And I think also for access to the hospital, being as a hospital, I think that was your
Yeah, that's
thinking
certainly,
also, right? To make it
certainly what makes
easier.
this location ideal is that it's
Oh, yeah, it's
easily
easy for
accessible.
the ambulances to come in, or, yeah, oh, yeah, definitely, sure. Okay, any other, okay, is there a motion to approve double frontage lot?
Make a motion.
Okay, Tyler, second? Second. Jeff, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the last one was,
B12
that's right, B12, okay.
is the minimum radius for access drives.
It's this one here. Okay, we're looking at Bill Rudy's memo dated May 9th, 2024. B12, minimum radius for access drives is 35 feet, and truck traffic is anticipated 55 feet is required. And that's 344-31R3F. If you just go over that again, please, I know you said it before, but.
The largest vehicles we expect would be garbage trucks, box trucks for delivery, and then certainly in the worst case, a fire truck. That's been reviewed. The vehicle turning movements have been provided to the fire chief, and he said that it's acceptable to him for their apparatus. And so, rather than fully meet the intent of the ordinance, we have a site that works, and so we're seeking a waiver to have the radii as shown on the plan.
And Bill, is there any concern about that?
No, as long as we've got the largest vehicle that we've looked at, yeah.
So the fire truck, I guess, would be the longest?
Yes.
55 feet, right? Okay. All right, any other questions? Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I would make a motion that we approve it based on the engineer's comment.
Okay, sure. All right, second?
Second.
Tyler? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, now is a motion to approve. This will be the final land development plan for Wellspan Newberry. Okay, is there a motion to approve the plan?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the plan as presented. Excuse me. Did I get
Subject.
recognized? Okay.
Oh, yeah, good, sure.
Subject to the comments from the engineer, York County Planning, that you fill out an application for a waiver for the one we just approved.
We will.
Am I missing anything else, Bill?
I don't think.
And, you know, I think Bill's memo encompasses all the required permits, et cetera.
Oh, and also add the wording about the blasting that I brought up earlier.
Yes, correct.
Note number 30, add change that wording. Okay, second? Jeff?
Second.
Okay, Jeff, second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all. We appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you.
It's 75 degrees in here. Who has the authority to put the air on?
Yes.
I asked
Jeremy?
He didn't seem to know.
Oh,
Someone should either open the door. It's 68 degrees in the hallway.
yeah.
It's 75 degrees in here.
Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is 1,000 Twin Lakes and Garrison Roads. Is there a representative? And state your name and title, please, job title.
Evening, Planning Commission. My name is Chris Hoover with Hoover Engineering, representing the plan before you this evening. Hi, Tony Sharp.
Chris Hoover, I haven't seen you in decades.
I was going to say, it has been about 20 years.
I think so.
We don't age, we just get better.
Good to see you.
Okay, sure. Yeah, go ahead. If you have an idea of what's involved
Certainly.
with this.
Gentlemen and ladies, what you have before you this evening is a very minor subdivision plan where it's basically a property line adjustment between the lot located at 810 Garrison Road and 1000 Twin Lakes Road. Mr. Shirey, who owns the property at 810 Garrison, has acquired the property at 1000 Twin Lakes. And what his intent is to subdivide a portion of land from the Twin Lakes property and add it to his existing property in order to get above the magical 10-acre clean and green threshold. There's no improvements being proposed. It's a very straightforward subdivision, just a property line adjustment between the lots. Some of the things that we did as part of meeting with staff and going through the plan process is replacement sewage testing was done on 1000 Twin Lakes Road, just because that lot is being made smaller.
What'd you say it was, or what?
Replacement sewage testing, backup
Replacement
Perkin
sewer-
Road,
Okay, all right.
was done on 1000 Twin Lakes Road, just because that lot was being made smaller. The township sewage officer didn't feel it was necessary to do it on the 810 Garrison because that lot was being made significantly bigger. So that being said, we are asking for two minor waivers relative to the plan. One having to do with the site context map, which is actually kind of a partial waiver because we are providing all the information required under site context for the lots being created, but for the 1,000 feet beyond the property is what we're asking for a waiver from. And then the other waiver having to do with the submission of a stormwater management plan. Since we are not proposing any new improvements, we're not, that requirement is not really necessary. That being said, I think we have a few administrative comments to finalize, but I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, and Bill?
Yeah, so you should have my memo dated May 8th, 2024. As Chris mentioned, we're just down to some, 4 administrative items, 2 waivers, and I did, with the York County Planning Commission, Chris, I think you did mention, I think there might, can you double check the T numbers on the plan? They mentioned some T numbers that were different than you had. I did not look it up.
I pulled my T numbers off the PennDOT mapping.
Okay, all right.
So that's what I used. I saw that their numbers vary differently. I'll have to give Mike a call and find out where he got those numbers, but I'll verify that.
Yeah. So that would be the only plan change, if there is any at this point.
All right, anybody from the audience have any questions? Okay, seeing none, anybody, any planning commission member have questions? Oh, Bill, on page 2, note number 4, it says soils are hydric, characterized or by requiring considerable moisture. Would this be a problem? I know it's just a vacant property, but would that cause a problem being hydric?
Well, it's kind of a standard note that we put on relative to soils mapping and the possibility that there could be, if you do have hydric soils, there is a possibility there could be wetlands if it meets the remaining criteria.
That was my
So it's kind of an FYI kind of thing, that if before anybody does any type of construction, they should explore, that site further if they're going to build something.
They're gonna, yeah, and the stormwater management plan will come in later, okay.
Yeah, the stormwater management plan really won't happen just because both the lots are developed now, so there's no improvements being proposed.
So is, any problem with that, Bill?
Yeah, as he mentioned, it's just a lot line. We're moving a lot line. There's homes on both lots, so.
Okay. All right, and you, let's see, he's asking for what, 2 waivers? And you're asking for 2 waivers?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's on a cover sheet. The first one is 344-20.e, provide a site context map.
Correct.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Okay, Tyler, second? Okay, Dale, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the next one is 344-37, submission of stormwater plan and report. And I believe you mentioned that if there was building, you would do it at that time, right?
Yeah, in the future, if anything is built on either one of these lots, they'd have to comply with the township requirements, which may require a submission of a plan at that time.
Which is typical, right, Bill?
Correct.
Yes, okay, all right. Okay, there's a motion to approve the waiver?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Dale, second?
Second.
Jeff, okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, there again, this is a final minor subdivision plan. As long as they're consistently with the preliminary, we can approve this as a final minor so what is the final minor subdivision plan for 1,000 Twin Lakes Road and 810 Garriston Road? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Dale, is there a second? Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And that was contingent to the comments, the engineer's
So is to the
comments.
comments, right.
Yeah.
Thank you, folks.
Okay, you're welcome. This one. Okay, next time on the agenda, shit, you know what I forgot to do?
This is not on the agenda. I'm not sure. We got plans for something, or at least I did, for something that's not on the agenda. Whatever this is.
Okay.
That's right there.
Okay, next item on the agenda is 1285 York Haven Road. And representative, come to the mic and state your name and how you represent the applicant.
Is it,
York Haven or Church Road?
This says 1285 York Haven Road.
we could,
That is not this one. Okay. Oh, I thought Randy was last. All right.
Did you want to?
we could take this plan next. We could take, you want to take Zenith next, Dale?
Yeah, but
Okay.
the only problem with that, we have to change, according to the sunshine law, we'd have to change the agenda and then vote on it. So it's kind of like, because according to sunshine law, you have to go with the agenda the way it is.
Yeah.
And prior to the meeting.
Motion to change that plan till later. Let's take this plan first and then take that.
Dale's involved with it.
No, no, according to sunshine, no, you have to follow whatever the agenda is, unless at the beginning of the meeting, then you change the agenda, then you have to vote on changing the agenda. So we have to go with the way it is. So that'd be 1285 York Haven Road.
I have to recuse myself because my company did this plan. Well, this is a very minor subdivision plan. The same owner owns 2 separate parcels, and he is subdividing 3 acres from one parcel and adding it to a 60-acre farm. So he has, going from like 5 acres, he's taking 3 acres from 5, adding it to a 60-acre farm. And he owns both parcels. It's a very minor subdivision. We have very minimal comments. We're asking for one waiver, which is the site context map. Zoning, it wants, the landowner was gonna try and make the frontage of the smaller lot 5 foot smaller, but he would have needed a zoning variance, and he has decided not to pursue that. And that's about it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Dale Jackson. I work for Akins Engineering, and I live in High Street in Edders.
Okay, so they're going to subdivide Lot 1A, 3.07 acres from existing Lot 1 and create two new lots, no construction proposed.
Yeah,
There's
there's
public water and septic.
There is public water, but they have septics. And we did do a perk and probe for additional site.
Okay, do you have anybody have any questions? Okay, so there's one, anybody from the audience have any questions?
Well, I just have a comment more than a question. And maybe not necessarily pertaining directly to this, 3 parcels is not going to be all that taxing if it eventually gets put into our sewer system. But when we see all these new things going up, like a hospital, we see these developments going up, are we looking at our capacity for our treatment plant for all of these? Are we keeping that in mind as we're growing? And I know it's inevitable that our township's going to grow, for good or for bad, whether you're on the side of this is great or the side that, no, this is horrible, let's keep it the way we've had it all these years. That the capacity down there has to have a limit. So are we keeping that in mind? Because remember what happened the last time they thought about selling the sewer and where that took us.
Yeah, we do look at that for each individual plan and then on a yearly basis. This particular development, though, is on-lot septic. It doesn't even go to the treatment plant, so.
And
That's why I said generally, and I'm talking 5 and 10 years down the road, if we're not planning for that now.
Yeah, so we do an annual report that looks at a 5-year projection for the wastewater treatment plant.
So, Bill, do you have any comments about this particular plan?
So you have my memo dated May 8th.
Yes.
As Dale mentioned, A1 really goes away. He's revised the plan so that the variance isn't required. So we're really just down to some minor updates and one waiver.
Yeah, the one comment is show location of well, 100-foot isolation distance, they have public water. So there are no wells. And public sewer is getting close to this property, so.
Yes, it is.
It's right down the street from Lexington Estates. It's coming, so.
Any other
Chairman, I have
questions?
one question.
Sure.
I might have missed it when you did the introduction. He's taking a 5-acre, was it a 5-acre lot?
That's right.
And taking 2 acres?
3 acres.
3 acres and adding it to his 60-plus acres.
That's right, the farm that he has,
And
yeah.
what is the purpose of that?
He's Because I think he's eventually gonna sell the house. He refurbished it, so he's adding the land to his farm.
Okay. Because right now, we're not talking about any new buildings or
No.
anything of that nature, so.
No.
Okay,
Absolutely not.
thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All right, so there's one waiver, 344-20.e site context map. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Tony, second? Second. Tyler? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, is there a motion to approve final minor subdivision plan for 1285 York Haven Road?
I'll make a motion to approve with the township engineer's memo and the other comments.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Jeff, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you very much.
And I'm going to note that Dale
Dale
has
abstained.
abstained because he was representing the applicant. Okay. Okay, next on the agenda would be a multifamily development for Zenith Construction. This is going to be on Church Road.
Good evening. My name is Elliot Shibley. I'm with Integrated Consulting.
Can you spell your last name?
SHI, B as in Bravo, LEY.
Again, it's Elliot, right?
Yes.
Okay.
2 L's and 1 T.
Shibley. And what's your title, please?
Project Manager and Landscape Architect.
Okay.
It's a brief overview of the project. We're proposing 10 buildings. Each building has 12 units for a total of 120 units. This is, again, along Church Road and a portion of Paddletown. There will be primary access located off of Church Road with an emergency access located further north. And this is located within the Village Development District of the township. And then there are 2 existing lots and 2 lots will be proposed. They're just swapping some of the property. And I believe one of the owners is here tonight. In terms of stormwater development, there are 3 proposed basins. One of them is an underground facility. And then we are proposing, after discussion with the township at the staff meeting, some widening to Church Road and to Paddletown. And I believe we have our answer on one of the waiver requests already. But tonight, I'm not here for any action on waivers or the plan itself. This is more of a discussion. We have some things to work through with the township engineer, submit to the Conservation District for NPDS. And then we also just received the York County Planning Commission comments late last week, so we're working through those as well.
Mr. Chairman, if I could interject here. Please.
Yes.
Okay, let's start from the beginning with, can we put the plan up on the screen so that even I can view it and others can view it?
Bill, do you have a copy of the PDF?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank
Give me
you.
1 minute.
I want to be very clear.
Oh, yeah.
I want to make certain that we're all on the same page, because my understanding, at least I thought, was we were coming here to review this plan to move it forward, or to not move it forward with, or to move it forward with conditions, right? You're suggesting or telling us now we're just here for information purposes only.
Yeah, I think with the amount of comments remaining, there's some things that we need to work out with the engineer. So I wouldn't feel comfortable with you guys acting on it, and I don't think our client would either, just based on the amount of comments remaining, especially with not having received the county comments and not having submitted NPDS. So I think there was some discussion from township staff knowing that there was going to be public here tonight that wanted to discuss the project. So we didn't want to delay that yet another month and give them an opportunity to discuss that with us.
Yeah, but one thing you got to consider is, according to our ordinance, the subdivision land development ordinance, ruling on the preliminary plan. And it talks about, because this happened with the greenhouses. And anyway, the Board of Supervisors, upon recommendation of Township Planning Commission, shall act on any preliminary plan and communicates desire to the applicant not later than 90 days following the date of the regular meeting of the Township Planning Commission following the date the application is filed. Should the next regular meeting of the Township Planning Commission occur more than 30 days following the filing of the application with the zoning officer, said 90-day period shall be measured from the 30th day following the day application has been filed with Township Zoning Officer. What I don't want to happen is, because we had Greenhouse come before us, and it, by default, it got approved, because the attorney came to the Board of Supervisor meeting and says, thank you for the approval. And I know we didn't approve it. Greenhouse, this is behind Fulton Bank back there. And it just, and because the extension, they voted against the extension, but didn't vote against the plan. So I don't want something to happen like this because of this 90-day thing. I
realize this has nothing to do with your project, but that's news to me. What, maybe we can't discuss that right now, but.
Yeah, I think we can keep
okay.
on,
Well,
keep on this
that's
project
public
for right now, and.
But that's public record, but
Just so
anyway.
you know, they did submit a time extension to us. I think he gave us till the end of July. at
Yes,
this
July
point.
31st.
Yeah.
So Bill, so that's,
So they've already filed a time extension with the township.
okay, so that 90 days would start, what's the first day of the 90-day period?
Well, currently, the date is July 31st is
Yes.
is the
Is the
date.
90th day?
Yes, the date that it needs to be acted upon.
Yes, so we had met with township staff early on and knew that there would likely be some back and forth with the review comments and especially with the outside agencies. So I think Tony Miller, Jeremy Yutzi, we all discussed the need for a time extension early on. So we provided that extension and gave it to the end of July. So that is the decision date. And if we're approaching that, we're tracking that as well. If we're not here for the June meeting for you to make a recommendation to get us to the Board of Supervisors meeting, then we will provide another time extension.
Okay, so, I mean, you are aware of that 90, okay.
Yes, very
According to the, the MPC, okay.
Yep.
All right, okay, as long as I'm clear on that.
Okay, so, back to my point.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from. I just want to be sure that we're here for an informational session.
Yes.
And that we all are on board with what the timeline is. And we're not going to get, hit with something that we weren't expecting. So this evening is information only.
That is correct.
Okay, all right, and we've got the plan up to some level here, so.
Is there a sheet you'd like?
We can.
Show the sheet where you started describing an emergency entrance and a.
Yeah, I think
primary
sheet 11
entrance
would be
and-
fitting.
Thank you, Bill.
Which one are you looking for?
Sheet 11, site plan. So the plan is oriented such that north is to the top left corner, south is to the bottom right. The primary access is to the bottom right, close to the intersection of Paddletown and Church Road, and then the emergency access is up to the top left that is connecting to Church Road. So there's an existing driveway there that we're improving and bringing up to township standards. We've had discussion with the fire department about that road specifically, and it is currently approved. I talked with the homeowner tonight. There may be some minor adjustments there in terms of the alignment and the current geometry that's shown. Bill, if you'd like to flip to sheet 12, we can discuss some stormwater and grading. So as I had mentioned, there are 3 stormwater basins on the site. There's quite a bit of topography. The first basin to the far right is a surface basin, and then the basin that's kind of green in the middle is an underground facility, so that'll be stone and pipes, and then that actually discharges to the furthest left at-grade infiltration basin as well. So those 2 are in series, and then both of those just discharge to the one on the right discharges to an existing stream, and the one on the left also discharges to a floodplain.
Mr. Shively, so that dark area, is that opposite Building 5? That basin?
That is correct.
Okay, so that's an underground basement?
Yes.
A basin?
Yep.
Basin, okay, thank you.
And as I mentioned in the beginning, there was some discussion with staff early on. We actually walked the Church Road and Paddletown to look at road widening. So existing Paddletown Road is 17-foot wide cartway. Township standard is 24 foot. So we are proposing a 3-foot widening on either side with a bit of mill and overlay of the existing cartway and some drainage improvements, as there's not a lot of existing drainage structures out there. Most of that either runs alongside of the road. So we're proposing some inlets and piping to bring that safely to our site and discharge directly to a stream.
But only that area that's outlined.
Correct. Yep, so that's,
No further on Church Road, just,
What sheet is that on?
if you want to go back to sheet 11, that probably shows it best.
sheet 11.
Bill, do you have I don't believe this is the most recent plan. I think that was our original submission.
Oh, you know what? It could be, because, let me see here.
So if you can scroll up to the inset map. So this area, you can see the intersection of Rabbit Slide and Paddletown. That's the extent of the improvements to Paddletown. So there'll be some widening, an addition of 2 new inlets, a rehabilitation of an existing 2 inlets, and then a 3rd inlet further north on Church Road. And then Church Road will also be improved between Paddletown and Rabbit Slide.
And how about the access drive? Will that be improved where it goes the other part of Church Road?
Could you describe that
Well, you said
location again?
there's actually 2 roads. There's one on the left and one on the right. So it goes the other part of Church Road. Will that also be improved?
Yes, up to the intersection of Rabbit Slide. So we have some
No,
utility.
no, the next one. The other, there's, where is it? I thought there was another. Right.
No, that entrance is emergency access only.
Okay, so that will not be approved.
No, that is correct.
So can you elaborate on that for me? What are you proposing there? Emergency access only, what's the width of that, and is it gated off, or how's that operating?
Yes, so that will be an easement shared with 3 parties. So the existing Mira property that's kind of marooned in the central portion, that has an existing access off of that driveway. And then Mr. Wilt also has an access off of that driveway. And then the 3rd will be for this project as emergency only. So the physical driveway itself will be improved to a width of 16 foot and fully paved. And then at our property line, there will be a gate with a Knox box that emergency providers can access at any time.
From that point forward to the development is 16-foot width
Yes.
as well?
Yep.
Is that adequate for our emergency vehicles and trucks and?
We have correspondence with the fire chief, and we showed him turning movements for that access lane, and they agree that it is sufficient.
What's the distance there from Church Road back to where we're gonna enter into your property?
I don't have that offhand, but I can provide that.
Yeah, how far am I walking? That's got a pretty good slope, doesn't it?
Portions of it do, yes, and that is existing.
Oh, Mr. Shibley, is there any other things that you could point out? And then Bill didn't give any comments.
So you can see, just in a little bit more detail, there is an existing regional commercial office district to plan south. We have some topography there. We're proposing level 3 screening, which includes a 6-foot solid screen fence. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we have not yet submitted to the Conservation District. That'll be coming up in the next few weeks. Okay. And then we just received your county planning comments. Most of them are aligned with the township comments.
Okay. So Bill, do you have any comments on this plan?
I mean, just in general, you know, we're still kind of looking at the traffic study. As you mentioned, they were very willing to meet with us and look at the improvements along Church Road and also improving the drainage out there. So we appreciate that. As far as the comments that are there, there's also wetlands comments that we're working through. Some I think the stormwater's starting to dwindle, but I'm gonna have to unplug here a second so I can kind of look at what's left.
Lost it again, Bill.
Yeah, I wanted to bring my comments up so I could kind of look at them here in front of me.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's 2 zoning comments we're still working through. More than a dozen subdivision comments and stormwater. So it's kind of a work in progress at this point, but yeah, we're getting there. So.
Okay. Anybody from the audience have questions? Come up and, Sandra.
Again, Sandra Gonzalez, 140 Oak Road. When you talk about widening that road, at whose expense? The developers?
Yes.
Okay, okay. I'm sure, maybe I'm Johnny-come-lately to this, but what I call in-town Newberry, where Rudders is in town, I don't know if you ever sat in traffic in the morning to get to that light. Where we're at now, it is almost intolerable, to say the least. And as you can see from our tight little town there, there's really no room for improvement that I can see unless we're knocking down a row of homes to widen that area to help alleviate. And even the folks that are coming out Pine Road, and that, you know, if some people would somehow route through that way or whatever, congestion is congestion. And I don't know what, I mean, people are gonna have to leave, you know, it seems like every year, another 10 minutes earlier, another 10 minutes earlier. And then not only the nuisance of it, but the safety of it. To have that much congestion flowing through that little, almost bottlenecking, you know, at that point, this is a potential disaster. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Anybody else?
Yeah, Josh Grove, 385 Church Road. I'm the guy he's screwing here. To widen Church Road, there's a historic church on one side that there's a block wall within 3 feet of the roadway. So everything's coming on me. I can barely park 2 cars safely back to back in my driveway as it is. Now you're going to take more from me for their benefit and their profit. You know, the owner said to me once when I called him that not everybody can afford a house. Well, he's going to charge $1,500 to $2,000, $2,200 a month in an apartment. Is that what we want? Is that what our community wants? Is high-priced apartments? I just find it absurd. When you look up his Hagerstown address for his construction company, it's based on one of his apartment complexes, which is right behind a Cheddar's restaurant. You can Google search it very simply.
Oh, yeah.
It's in a completely different area. Last time the lawyers on the zoning hearing brought up, this has been done before in a village over on Red Mill Road. I think everyone here would agree with me that that comes out to a pretty commercial area. This doesn't. This is taken away from citizens who have lived here all their lives. You know, it's not very fair. Like you're going to take out Rob's property, you're going to take out my property for the benefit of someone to make money who has apartment complexes all over the U.S. And simple searches will tell you the guy's from California. He doesn't give a shit about our area. Sorry. He does not care about our area.
And where's your house? Like
385 Church Road. I'm
which is
part of the.
We're near Paddletown, the Methodist Church? You're right
Correct.
there?
I'm right behind the church.
Okay.
I'm the ranch house right behind the church. Rob Lane lives right next door to me. That's the area you'd be taking. My kids play in my front yard. 800 trips of cars is the first survey they gave us a day. One of my kids are going to get hit. They got to cross Church Road to get to the bus stop. You know, I got a 6-year-old. I got a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and they all got to cross that road. Now you're going to put cars out there the time they got to go to school. I don't think it's very fair. I don't think it's very fair to take our property just for some guy to make more money.
I will mention, it is that area that we are taking. We're not asking him to take right away. We're just asking him to work within the township right away.
Yeah, he's going to take my front yard. I understand what he's doing, but it's still taking. And yeah, it's going to go 3 foot on the roadway. Then there's going to be a shoulder. So you're talking about 4 feet. I have approximately 42 feet to my front door right now in my front yard. That's a lot when you only got 42 feet. I'd ask you to not participate in that. I'd rather see a dead-end church right there past the back of the church and take everything out to the intersection, just for the safety of my children and not to take property from me to benefit
Just to
someone else's
say,
pocket.
all township roads have a minimum.
I understand that.
33-foot right-of-way.
I understand that completely, sir. I do. This church, this road's been there that way since how long? I bought it because it was a nice, quiet place.
And we have a minute left then.
That's why I bought there. It was nice and quiet. Now you're going to take that and put 800 trips a day on the road right in front of my house, right in prime time when my kids are getting off the bus, when my kids are going to school. And to her conversation about the traffic, you got to think about when Bruner Island has shutdowns and all the traffic comes through there. When they let out at 5, it's horrendous. I start early and get out early because of it. Now you're going to put mountains and mountains of more traffic through. It's not what the community needs. That's my 2 cents.
All right, thank you. Okay. Sue, did you have your hand raised? I did. Okay, you're next. And then I'll call you Maxine next, okay.
Sue Ostrander, 35 Rolling Hills Court. I don't live in this area.
Can you spell your last name, Sue, please?
Ostrander. Ostrander.
All right, thank you.
Okay. I have a couple of questions because I don't quite understand what you were talking about. If you look at the plan here, one of the things that bothers me tremendously about it is the fact of the way it comes out to Pines Road. Church Road goes through the neighborhood there, okay? And then it comes out to Pines Road, but when it does, it doesn't come out and meet Pines Road. Pines Road is on a curve there, and Church Road comes out at an angle. So you have an intersection of a road that's coming out like this to a road that's going like this. I'm concerned about people coming out of that area, whether the road is widened or not. I'm concerned about cars getting out in that area and trying to turn left, to go down to get on 83, turn right to come down through my subdivision, possibly towards another entrance to 83. I don't see how that's going to be a good fit. And on the other end, if you're going to have an entrance, an exit out of the subdivision, that's my question to you. You were talking about just one entrance, one main entrance.
Yes.
Where is it?
That'll be the one to the right.
On Pines Road.
Yeah, at that intersection with Church Road and Paddletown Road.
Church Road and Paddletown Road.
Right at the cemetery.
Yes.
Right at the cemetery. Okay, and you're saying that the road is going to come up, you're going to meet Paddletown Road, and then you're going to go out to Old Trip, to the main road. Is that right? No.
No, Church Road eventually goes to Pines at the other end.
Which is windy and thin, nice and narrow.
this is the site, there, the access point will be here, and then those will most likely either come to the intersection of Rapid Flag and Church and make a right.
I drive through there
There isn't
if not every day,
traffic
couple days.
impact study that's available
There's
to review as
anticipate
well.
90% of traffic will come through Newburytown, maybe 10.
Oh, thank you,
I
Bill.
can tell you if I was living in that development.
Yeah, so Bill just pulled it up on
quicker
Google
to
Earth.
come down on the Pine.
Bill, if you move
Your
if you
cursor,
move your
Bill?
cursor up a little bit,
Where did you want it at?
The area we're talking about.
the access
Where are you
drive.
going to put the actual entrance and exit?
So the entrance and exit would be right in here.
Yeah.
Okay. And Paddletown Road, and it's going to come out to, right there at Rudders.
Yes.
But you're not doing any improvements to that road?
No.
You're
Not
only,
currently. Down the street from Rudders.
but you feel, is there going to be a traffic study done that's going to show what the impact is going to be when those cars all begin to come out of there and go down to make that right-hand turn to go to 83?
We are currently reviewing the traffic study, which looks at some of those intersections that you're talking about.
Has one been done already, Bill?
A traffic study?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. We have comments on it.
And so what happens to the other end of Church Road that goes to Pines Road? Nothing?
You'll have to locate me. So Pines is to the north.
Okay.
And you have
We are
a
not
minute then.
proposing any improvements up there.
No, give everybody 4 minutes.
No.
Okay.
So as Bill mentioned, there is a traffic study that they're currently reviewing, and there are some comments in our latest review letter.
I do hope that you seriously look at that traffic, that impact, especially right there at where Paddletown Road comes out at because of the houses that are sitting right there. And
Bill, do you know offhand if that intersection was recommended by the town?
The sheet, are we talking about right here?
Yeah.
Right here?
So
Yes, that is one that we're looking at.
And then
That's
further
on the
north
traffic
where
study.
Church intersects Pines.
That is one of the intersections.
And that's our time then for that also, after
And
this question.
one last question. Where is the area that you're saying would be the emergency access?
Bill, if you can, yeah, right there. So that's an existing driveway that we're going to be improving.
Okay. I'll be interested in seeing what that traffic study is going to show.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
If I could just quickly, informationally for everyone here, can you describe, so you're looking at 120 units. I don't think we've heard, how many bedrooms are these units? What are they anticipated?
So I am working with the developer, but again, I'm not the developer, so take everything I say with a little bit of approximation. So my understanding is that these will be a mix of mostly 2 bedrooms and maybe some 3 bedrooms.
Okay.
And the buildings, there's 10 buildings with 12 units per building.
Correct.
Is this 3 stories?
Yes. So
4 units per floor?
Yep.
So these are all 3
yes,
floor units?
Yep.
Buildings?
that's correct.
So Maxine, you had a question? State your name and address, please.
Yeah, Maxine Kaufman, 540 Paddletown Road. So let me get this right. You want to rearrange a whole neighborhood, a whole community for your 120 apartments?
I'm just the engineer.
Well, you're representing them, so that's you.
I understand. I'm just making sure it complies with state, county, and local ordinances.
Well, somebody has to speak up for. I think that's my property right there. We're like just about 5 acres. There's a stream, maybe it's not. I'm having a hard time figuring out where I'm at. We live 540 Paddletown Road. Somebody's been running around in a white car, taking notes, and now I know who it is. We have almost 5 acres, and the extended part of our property to if you're facing my house to the right, The state came along and put a big drain pipe in there. So everything off of York Haven Road drains out onto my property, and I will not tolerate any more, there's not going to be any more stormwater on my property. It floods my whole section out. I'm trying to think of where I'm at. I've got the woods, Ridgeview's there.
Here's the cemetery. Where are you from the cemetery?
I'm right up from the cemetery.
Is this other way? She's this direction? Oh. Yeah, the
No,
stormwater is all going.
That's
We have
Church
woods
Road.
behind us. We're 700, all the way back, 700 feet back from the front of our property to the back.
No, Paddletown Road,
There's a
Bill.
stream back there
She's in here?
as well. Are you there?
Bill,
I
Pa-
live near that man, and I can attest to the
Bill,
fact
Paddletown Road between York
that family
Haven.
uses their
and,
front yard all the
Rabbit's Lodge.
time. You see them out there. Good family time. We were
Between
happy to
York
see a
Haven and
family buy
Rabbit's
that house. And you want to rearrange this neighborhood for your profit or whoever you're representing, and to inconvenience all of us. Okay, yeah,
Is that you?
that's me.
Yeah, so I think all the stormwater's going this direction.
What, into that gully down there?
That's correct.
So what about Church Road? That is narrow and windy onto Pines. I just can't imagine how it's gonna look, what you guys are gonna do to that community. And what about the church? That church has, that cemetery has Revolutionary War soldiers buried there.
We're not
You don't care,
proposing anything with
you don't care, but we care.
I do care. I mean, again, our goal is to make sure the plan complies with township, state, and county ordinances and requirements. And this is, again, zoned village district.
And that's 3 minutes, then 1 minute left.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. The lady in the front here, and then I'll call you next.
We all live in
Name
Newberry
and-
Township
name and
for a
address.
reason. Oh, I'm
Name
sorry.
and spell your last name.
Janice Zorro, 25 Harvest Drive.
And was that Z-O?
Z is in zebra, U-R-O.
Okay, thank you.
We all live in Newberry Township because it is open, country, wooded areas, and why can't we have a say in what happens to our community, to our country surroundings? We should have some say in that.
Thank you. Can I say one more thing, just half a minute? Come on, I'm a citizen of this.
No, I understand. Yeah, okay, and then the next gentleman over here. Okay.
And I don't know if anybody is familiar with Paddletown and the traffic. You got the main road, it's hard to get out of Paddletown in the morning and work time. When they close the 83, portions of 83, it's constant traffic. We always know when there's an accident on 83. And I just don't see how we can sustain it. And then we have Ridgeview, where they have big potholes. The township, it's not their fault because things cost money, but it's 5 years now that they've been saying, I ask every meeting, the road crew guy, when are you gonna do Ridgeview? When are you gonna do Ridgeview? And that's no concern of yours, but they can't even get to Ridgeview, and then they wanna build another community right there and turn it over to the township, and they can't even take care of what they have. I mean, it's money constraints, and if there's a list, but Ridgeview keeps getting kicked to the back, and there is, I know somebody here that lives there, big potholes and stuff. I mean, big potholes.
I live in that development. I know exactly what you're talking about, Ridgeview, and I did speak to Scott, a couple, road foreman, and, yeah, it's got problems, and, yeah. Okay, gentleman over here, name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Pastor Ryan Weisel. I serve at the Paddletown St. Paul's United Methodist Church as the lead pastor at 355 Church Road.
What's your last name?
Last name is Weisel, W-H-I-S-E-L.
And it's Ryan?
Correct.
You're the
Yes, sir.
pastor. Okay.
Yes, I'm the pastor at Paddletown Church currently. First, I want to start off by saying thank you for being here tonight, but it's also very telling that you're the only one here. I know you're just here to get the compliance figured out, and that's great, but you're the representative now. There's no one here who's actually on the other side of that to answer any other questions. I just want to mention that before I share just a few thoughts. First of all, we're talking about 120 units. Assuming we get those filled, that's 120 cars minimum. Yes. We're not even talking about extra cars for spouses, young teenagers who might be driving. Add in visitors, add in traffic from the mail, from delivery services, from trash and recycling, from the school buses. I have an almost 2-year-old son who kills me when it's raining because he can't be outside in the backyard. So we're talking about adding that much more traffic, and I'm not sure that a traffic study is going to completely capture that. We're talking about one entrance directly affecting traffic by the church and multiple homes with little children. Add in visitors, funerals, deliveries, trash and recycling, etc. How can my child, my neighbor's children, and all those under my pastoral care who have to cross a number of streets to get to the church building depending on where they have to park, how can any of them feel that they are going to be kept safe during the various activities that take place throughout the weeks of the year, not just on Sundays? If we're talking about widening the road, where are those utility poles that are well within that 3-foot to 6-foot range going to be moved? How is that going to affect my family's electrical systems? What about my backyard? What about my mailbox? What about my driveway, which, by the way, is already hard enough to get out of with the way those roads meet at that island of land? Now we're adding in 120, 150 cars that are constantly in and out of that complex for various activities that are necessary during their day that are now impacting mine already. That is stressful. I already have my wife's car that has to be parked on the road in front of our house. If we increase the traffic flow coming through there, how safe is that car going to be parked on the road? Yes. How safe is it really going to be to add this kind of stress to that infrastructure that is already existing there? How much harder is it going to be for my family, already locked by the roads that are currently there? How much harder will it be for us to enjoy that space because of all this traffic and development and impacts to the varieties of activities that take place throughout the week? I know we're here for conversation.
That's 1 minute then.
Thank you. I know we're just here for conversation, but we have to be aware of this already. The impact that this is going to be needs to be heard and passed along and made very clear. I'm not against progress. I'm not against development. But realistically, this is not progress. That's right. This is going to be harm. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody? Sheila? And then gentleman in the rear.
I'm Sheila Isley, 2985 Old Trail Road. I'm the tax collector, so most of you know where I am and where I live. First thing is the whole 83 thing. Whenever there is an accident, I probably know before most of you know that there's an accident because traffic is stopped from the stop sign that's a mile up the road in front of my house. They were stopped there last week because there's stuff going on in 83. They're already backed up a mile and they can't even get out going down through town. This is just, I think, an insane place to be putting this sort of a development. It's not fair to the lanes or to this gentleman here whose kids play out in the front yard. Are you going to pave through their living room? Are you taking the church down? Are we paving over the cemetery plots? Where are we going to be driving? It's not safe. There's nowhere to empty that traffic out, and it's not going to be 120 cars. It's going to be 240 cars. It's going to be 300 cars because you've got 2 cars per family, plus teenagers, traffic visiting. So you're going to be 300, maybe even 400 cars of people going and coming. Like they said, the recycling, the trash, You got funeral, there's activities going on at the church. It's not safe for the kids to be crossing from the church over to the CE Center for the activities that they plan for the community. It's just not a good idea.
All right, thank you. I know.
Hi, I'm Scott Wilt, 209 Church Road.
And what, how you spell your last name?
Wilt, W-I-L-T.
All right, thank you.
First of all, I'd like to say that I think 120 homes is too many homes for our area. It's too much traffic. I live right here. Have part of the subdivision that's going to be subdivided off this. And I like to know the distance from the closest home to my place to my house, because I don't want to have to hook up to the sewer and water. I mean, I have a good septic system and a good well. And I don't know what the distance is. Does anybody know? 150 feet or 200 feet?
I think this is gonna be a private sewer for this development, so I don't think you're gonna have to hook up.
I hope that's the case, because I have no interest in hooking up to the sewer or water. And whenever we did the plans for the emergency driveway, we said when we sold the property that we did not want that to be a access road. It's emergency only. That was like a stipulation of selling the property, which was granted. So I hope that we stick to that. We also chose where to put the driveway, which actually it goes right through two of my sheds, which I thought I would tear down. And now I really don't want to tear them down or have them demolished. I'd rather just have the driveway come right up where we didn't want the driveway coming in front of our house, but in all honesty, I don't really see them ever using the emergency road. So we also asked for a gate, which I think they're going to put a gate there, because we don't want people driving down at 2 o'clock in the morning. We're used to being well off the road, that it's quiet. If a car would drive past my house in the middle of the night, it would wake me up just from the noise.
There is a gate there. It's for emergency vehicles.
Right, yeah. I don't even care if it's locked. It's just that just so it's a gate. But anyway, so if they do go through with this, and they could put the road where my driveway is presently, they don't have to move it.
So, Mr. Will, you're talking about that emergency access road?
Yes, that's an
Mr.
emergency
Shibley,
access road.
I mean, can you accommodate?
Yeah, we discussed it tonight, and
You can accommodate Mr. Will?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. So this is not a final
No.
location? Okay. All right.
I just think it's an awful lot of houses for, it's like you're kind of inserting a small city into the country. That's an awful lot of people in a small area. It's actually the same size or bigger than Reesers, and what's the other new development by Reesers? There's another one. Lexington, yes. I mean, it's probably the same amount of people almost.
And that's a minute then.
And since I lived here for 25 plus years, the traffic has gotten crazy because of Lexington and Reesers. I mean, you used to just be able to pull out the road, look left or right, and kind of go. Not anymore. It's 15 years ago, maybe this might have flew, but today with all that extra traffic from those two developments, I really think it's too much traffic on the road.
That's it. Thank you. Anybody who's not spoken? There's a gentleman on this right here. Yes.
My name's David Ernie. I live at 460 Paddletown Road, Edders, PA.
And what's your last name?
What's that?
Can you spell your last name?
Am I what?
Can you spell your last name?
Oh, E-R-N-E-Y.
Thank you.
One of the things that I go to work, I come home. Then after I come home, so many times I go to Walmart. I go to my sister's place. So you multiply this. One person. You're talking 3 times leaving, 3 times coming back. You can multiply that. Now, this is another thing that hasn't been brought up, and I think this is interesting. It's going to be a nightmare, okay? It's going to be a nightmare for the people that live there. Now, what if the people get so tired of it, I got to move? Their house is depreciated. All these people right here, our homes are going to be depreciated. So what our homes were worth before, it's going to go downhill, and that's not right. It's a country road. I have people coming all the time, walking that road to the top of the hill. They'll go down towards the bank. They'll go to Rudders. They'll be riding their bikes on that road. They won't be able to do that anymore. There's going to be so much traffic. And anybody that, if one of us gets so tired of it, we got to leave. Who's going to want to move in? Well, they might move in, but you'd have to take the price of your house way down. And that's not right to any of these folks right here, including me.
Thank you. Yeah, gentleman in the rear.
Robin Lane, Lane.
Okay.
345 Church Road, Headers. My concerns, I'll start with the significant wetlands. I'm right next to this property, by the way. So I know the property very well. The slope where they're putting the driveway in goes down, goes right over a significant wetland. Whenever it rains, not even a whole lot, that becomes basically a small stream. My concern is the mitigation for that. I don't want that affecting all the other properties around and backing up waters, diverting waters onto our properties. It's a very significant wetland that's down there. It has to be, I know it's a floodplain down in that area, so the mitigation effects for the floodplain, I have concerns about for the neighbors of that. My next concern is the sight lines of entry and exit of this development. I don't see how it even meets the state or federal, whatever, sight line requirements because of the curvatures of Church Road on both ends. And there's a hill that comes down also. That's already a significant safety hazard in that area, and I don't see how it meets. I assume this is going to be on public septic, public water. I'm concerned at how that all of that new septic is going to affect the neighbors' pumping of our own septics. I'm on public septic on that side. I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned also about, as I said before, about the capacity of the treatment facilities in the area with this demand, huge demand coming online, and especially in that area. I have good reason to believe that there are endangered species inhabiting the wetlands on that property, and I have informed the proper agencies of that. Of the emergency exit, a 16 feet widening, I talked about this at the zoning hearing last. A fire engine width is 10 feet minimum. So I mean, getting a fire engine on any of these roadways, and you're going to widen a little bit of these roads, but the rest of the roadways are still going to be the same size. Very small roads. I'm concerned about safety with traffic even coming in and fire apparatus, ambulance apparatus getting through. And this traffic study that was done at the zoning hearing, I don't have one shred of faith in this traffic study. And I did question the gentleman that did this traffic study and asked him, I mean, who are you working for? And he says, well, I was hired by the developer. Should we not have an independent traffic study done for this? I don't have any shred of faith in this traffic study. So these, we're going to have 3 basins. I'm concerned about the the effect on the topography that affects all the runoff onto the neighboring properties from this. I'm concerned about the traffic again at the end of the roadway. Just too much traffic. I can understand a smaller development, and one was already approved a long time ago for a very small, much smaller housing development there. This is not the place for this type of development, considerable development. The infrastructure is not there. It is not good. The roads are not good.
That's a minute then.
The church right there is another reason that I'm concerned, and the children and the elderly that go across the road. My wife has a disability. She actually likes to run her scooter over to church on Sundays. That's going to be impossible with this. And so there's so many things that are wrong with this development plan. And lighting, I'm worried about the lighting of this because it's going to be right next to my property. I'm worried about, I think Ryan had brought up noise pollution, the noise from this, from people out with who knows with their boom boxes, or if they're boom boxes anymore, I have no idea. But 120 homes with all out on, and making their noise. And maybe that doesn't concern anybody, but it does concern us neighbors right there. And there's a lot of us that, really love that neighborhood, have been there a long time, and this is going to significantly change our lives, and not for the better, I'm afraid. So, thank you.
Kathy Rimmer, R-I-M-M-E-R, Winding Hill Road in the Ridgeview Pothole Development. And one of the things that my biggest concern is just the traffic. There's no safe way to get from those houses to the main roads. I was going up Paddletown towards the main road, and then High Street goes across it. How many times has everybody almost got hit, but in their car trying to get out, pulling in front of you? It's happened, and it's going to get worse and worse. And I just know that somebody in that new development that's coming in is going to complain about his church bells at 10 o'clock on Sunday because they don't appreciate them. I love his 10 o'clock church bells. It's a little town. Let's keep it that way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
I remember this discussion about this.
Name and address, Jane.
Oh, Jane Harmon, 205 Hemlock Lane,
Thank you.
Edders, PA. This has come up before, so this is not a new. Okay, so I was listening to this before, and I have a couple questions. You're saying 3-story high, okay? 3-story high, is that in compliance with the township in a village to be 3 stories high? That's one of my questions. So I'm going to go on because I only have 4 minutes, and just write this down, then you can get back, okay? Then the original plan, wasn't it like 10 buildings, and now we went to 12? So we're squeezing more into this development? Am I making that up? I'm pretty sure I remember something, a smaller plan.
It is 10 buildings.
It's 10 buildings? Was it?
Units.
Okay, 12 units.
Yes.
12 units in each building,
Yes.
3-story high.
Yes.
Okay, so these are all going to be rentals from some developers going to have it, and, okay, so it's going to manage it. Okay, how many parking spaces is permitted in this, do you have proposed?
It's 3 per unit.
3, okay, guys, so is 120, okay, times 3, so do your math. Okay, so that's 400 going in and out, minimum 2 times a day, okay? So there you go with your traffic. I don't need to do a traffic study, I don't need to be a PennDOT, I can figure it out. Simple common math. It's not gonna work for the people that are there. You say that you're going to take, it's 17 foot wide now, the road, and you're gonna go to 24. So you said you're gonna take like 3 foot in each side. I can guarantee you it's gonna be more than 3 feet because it doesn't add up. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 17, you're still not hitting the 24. So it's gonna be a little bit wider than that. So that means eminent domain. That means they're taking your property. They're taking your property. For some developer lives in Maryland that's going to be making a profit on you guys, okay? and it's going to definitely depreciate your homes. I have a little problem with all of this. I mean, I love our small little town. You can't stop development, but when you want to come in and you want to squeeze all that into that little tiny property, and the impact it's going to make is just is horrific on this community. Okay, we have a lot of little developments going in right now, a lot of apartments, a lot of people are taking advantage. So this goes down to, guys, our zoning. Okay, we need to relook at our zoning. We need to look at it and make it stricter that we do not allow this. We do not allow variances. We don't allow any of that. You can come in, build within our specs, and we can allow it. But do we need a 3-story high in a village? I don't believe so. Then the green space. Is there any green space? You're having 120 apartments, so I imagine you're going to have young children in there. Is there any type of playground equipment for them? Do you have any green space at all for this development?
So there is proposed open space.
Open space. Open space. That means just go out and play.
That's a minute then.
Okay. So my other thing is I try to get onto the old trail, okay, from where I live. So now I go down and I go over and I come off of the Ridgeview development, that road there right in front of it. What is it? Help me out. Valley Green. I go across Valley Green and I try to get on because I can't get on Pine and down here at the intersection on Pines Road because that red light is just horrific trying to get on. So now I go down and I try to go through that community to go down to York Haven to visit my son. I can sit there 10 minutes trying to get onto York Haven Road. Can you imagine all the more traffic trying to get on York Haven Road? And we have no red lights. So, you're not going to be able to put a red light onto that road because PennDOT's not going to allow it. So,
20 seconds, Gene.
Guys, it's going to be terrible. So, I against it. That's what I have to say.
Oh, Mrs. Harmon, you asked the height. Now, according to section 206, now this is both utilities. In other words, this is our part of our ordinance design standard. Public water, public sewers, or only public sewer is a maximum height 35 feet.
They're proposing 41 feet.
Okay, they're proposing 41. There's my math.
41, and you're not at? It's on page, I know the numbers are
The old book, that's the book.
but still. Well, wait, just,
Well, I just want to show you what happens. I mean, you're going to compound the problem. I just want to show you. Two pictures.
So it's 35 feet.
Oh, wait.
Our zoning and
I had to look. That doesn't sound right.
41?
no, where,
It says non-residential.
non-residential.
41 feet?
That says non-resident.
To the peak.
That one says.
Yeah, so the building
Non-residential
height is
do-
measured to the mean roof line.
It's 41 feet?
That's
So
non-residential.
the building height
We're having
is
too many conversations.
under
Hold on
35.
one second.
Yep.
Thank you. We're good.
Oh, Maxine? Good. Just,
You want to see my pictures or
no, I mean, no, just one person at a time. Well, that's, yeah, just correct it. Non-residential dimensional requirements at 35 feet.
So that would be residential.
Yeah. So where the hell is it? It's not in here? Jesus, this is ridiculous.
In village.
That's village.
Is it back further? That just.
No, village starts right here.
Purpose, uses, ag.
Yeah.
And there's no residential, commercial.
That's another one. So do you want to explain that, Dale?
I don't know if I can, but when you look at the zoning, it says 35 feet. But multifamily housing is a special exception. And so it goes to, you look at another section, and it never does really say what the height of multifamily housing is. But it does say 35 feet in the village zoning specs.
Non-residential.
But if, but they're showing 41, at some point you would have to say, we need a determination from our zoning officer. And if it's favorable to him or not favorable, then he would have to appeal it to the zoning hearing board. That's correct.
Well,
That's how I took it.
Well, that says
But-
non-residential in the.
Tell you in a second.
In the ordinance.
525.6.
Well, that zone says 30, the multifamily has to be 35.
Nothing in there.
So just
Well-
to offer some clarification, I believe one of the architectural plans we submitted during the special exception showed a maximum building height to the peak roof line of 41 feet.
No, it doesn't. It says,
And the definition of building height is the mean level of the roof line. So the current buildings proposed wouldn't meet the building height.
it's exactly what it says.
It says that multifamily,
Right, that's a village.
but does that say multifamily? 35?
Hey, David.
Oh, yeah, Sandra.
Sandra Gonzalez.
Sandra.
So it appears at this point that this is already in motion and the train has left the station. But I believe it is your responsibility to do everything you can to make it harder, to slow it down, to make it more expensive, and to fight for us residents. If this is already too far gone along to nix it all together, then you guys have got to fight for us every step of the way. Can we deny the eminent domain? Can we deny certain things to make this? I can tell by his posture that he knows in his snarky little way that this is a done deal in some capacity. But what I want to know is, what can you guys do to make this as hard and as expensive and limit them to the best of your ability? Strangle this project down as much as you can and fight for us.
Can I?
Yeah, sure.
I would be curious because I'm in the same boat as far as knowing what's going on with you. We got these plans Friday, and I understand some other things, and I don't know whether we can or can't hear about this here, but other things went on with this project, have gone on with this project between the township and my understanding. So I was just curious if we can discuss that, just for general knowledge, because a lot of people, including myself, aren't privy to exactly what did go on.
I think it's a fair statement because we have a note on the plan that refers to a special exception use being granted
What
by
page
the
is that?
Newberry Township zoning ordinance on October 27th, 2023,
So if-
to allow for the multifamily dwellings within the village district. That note is on the plan, so I don't know.
What page is that? Is that sheet one?
So,
Sheet one.
I mean, I can,
So, this is something that the planning commission obviously was not involved. That's a zoning hearing board
yeah,
decision, but it may have gone beyond that. So what can you share with us?
So it did go to court, and the zoning hearing board case was overturned. So basically, the judge ruled in favor of the applicant, so.
Well, I need a little more information, Bill. So the zoning hearing board for Newberry Township said what? They said no with
Correct.
conditions?
No, they actually, that particular case, I think they actually denied.
They denied.
Yeah, the
And
first one.
the developer took the township to court.
The zoning hearing board, yeah.
And there's a member here. I don't know if you'd feel like saying anything about it, but maybe not. Okay.
What was the reason that it was denied?
Community uproar. We were all here, same way we are now.
So the judge overturned it because the zoning hearing board didn't specify the reasons they were denying it? Is that fair to say? Because community uproar doesn't hold with the judge. So what was the legal, because the zoning hearing board failed to specify the reasons for saying no?
I don't have that in front of me, so I'm not exactly sure.
Another project.
Well, if you want to speak, come to the mic, because it's going to be like pandemonium. Mrs. Shibley, do you
Yes.
have any information that you could provide to us tonight about
I
this?
don't, unfortunately, right now, but at the next meeting, I'm happy to bring either an attorney or an
See,
individual
because you
that's
know
more
what,
privy.
I understand where you're coming from. You're the engineer, you present it, and that's
Yes.
your job. But I think they should have had the company rep here, somebody who knows what's going on, maybe the attorney. Actually, not maybe, definitely the attorney who was involved.
Sure.
the
Maybe we could
applicant,
ask
somebody
our
who's,
zoning
You know,
officer.
an officer of the company beside yourself, because some of these questions you cannot answer. You can answer engineering questions, but we have
Yeah.
additional questions. And
At-
that's what I was
again-
saying about before, about the 90 days. We don't
Yes.
want to give a blanket approval without
Yep.
going through.
At the
And-
next meeting, we do plan to have traffic engineer, attorney, and hopefully a representative from the developer side. So
Well,
again,
not-
this was just more
well, not
reach out, present
hopefully.
the plan.
Not hopefully. You know, you will have the appropriate people, because we're going to have possibly a bigger crowd with more questions.
Understood.
And stress that it is important. This is going to change they're going to change the whole nature of that. I'm like, where do you live? What town do you live in?
I live in Dauphin County.
Okay, so you're not familiar with our area. I mean, so you've driven on Church Road?
Yeah, I've
Okay,
been
so
to
you
the
know,
site several times.
winding it out. And I think that's what you have to stress to the people involved. Just like we know, we live here. You know, it's a narrow road, and this will change the whole thing. Realize, you know, one of the you need more people that can answer questions. Oh, geez, sorry. But we need more people like.
There it's on.
Okay. But we need people, you know, from the corporation, the attorney, and yourself, and maybe one other person to answer any questions.
Sure.
For the next one. All right, thank
Yep.
you. Oh, Dale? Dale. Just one at a time, please.
Yep. Josh Grove, what happened at the first zoning meeting, it was denied.
Wait a minute. Okay, just one person speaking in the entire room, okay?
At the first zoning committee, and Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, it was denied. They took it to court, and in the meantime, they submitted a second plan with more buildings. And that one was initially approved with stipulations that they didn't like. So they're going with the original plan at this point, is what happened. Yes, no, you're correct.
And where-
I was at
where-
both meetings.
Were they apartments or condos?
Apartments, just like they are now. This is the original plan
This-
right now.
what we
This
have
is- This is currently the original plan that they went with, and they took to court and won the case.
This don't look like the plan that was there, because they were
The second
developing-
meeting, there was more buildings and a different plan.
Right, but at the first meeting, they were developing that man's 2 acres.
Yes, I
They
think they
showed-
did change that
they were
line, but as
showing
far as building layout.
15 acres.
Yeah.
And they were required to show a grading plan, that sort of thing, which they did not show at all. I agree that they shouldn't have voted on it. They didn't have enough information on that first meeting. I was there too.
Yeah.
But I think our attorney failed us, you know, because these issues were brought up at
Sure.
the time. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
And I have another question concerning eminent domain and widening Church Road. Was there any thought of widening Church Road before this project or in the lot before that?
But there's no eminent domain. I just want.
Well, they would enforce the right of way and take the property.
Yeah.
Yes, but was there any thought of widening Church Road before this project?
No.
So
Not that
you're
not that
eventually-
I'm aware of. Not that I'm
So
aware of.
essentially, they're going to widen Church Road and take my property to make, I'm sorry, because you're the representative, but that more money.
But it is narrower than what the township.
I understand that, but for the amount of traffic that's on that every day, where my kids can safely walk across the street, it is more than okay. Mr. Lane, my neighbor Rob, they have a landscaper mow grass, and it is fine. He parks along the street. People come along slow enough. Now you're going to dump. First traffic study they said at the zoning meeting was 850 some cars a day. Okay, that was the first one. And the second one, they cut that to like 140. So that's something that drastically stuck with me because the lawyer's a liar in my book, in my viewpoint. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be passionate about it, so I do apologize, but yeah, it was originally 850, I think 853 cars a day is what they proposed. So I've been all but a lifelong member of this township. I grew up on Pines Road. You're telling me that we're going to widen the road and take out my front yard and driveway and rob and Brenda's to make them more money. That is not Newbury Township I grew up in. That's just wrong.
Okay, so
Sue Ostrander, 35 Rolling Hills Court,
pull the mic
Edders.
down? Maybe adjust the mic.
Better? Okay. Sue Ostrander, 35 Rolling Hills Court. I just have a request. I would ask you, if you could please, to make sure that you had the correct information regarding what went on with the zoning hearing board when the two meetings were held. Because there was some information that went on, and I really feel that that information should be brought forth before you guys, the truth.
has there anybody has not spoken, asked any questions yet? Okay, go ahead.
Robin Lane, 345 Church Road. I'm not an attorney, but I did do some research on the court case. I know some attorneys, and this is my understanding of what happened with the court case. So whenever the zoning board denied that first approval of this, the developer then took it, I believe it's Commonwealth Court, I believe is where it goes. The court, Commonwealth Court, has to look at the precedent of the zoning board. Have they approved other projects similar to this? So they have. Our zoning board has approved other projects, development projects similar to this. So the court was basically their hands were basically tied in that they had to approve, in my understanding, this because basically technicality of it being precedent of before. So that's my understanding of it.
Did you actually look at the case?
I not look at the case itself. I've talked to attorneys that have looked at the case.
The reason I'm asking, I want to know what precedent they were referencing. Do you know?
Well, I think it's the one on Red Mill is one of them. I think there's several that have been passed by the zoning that they feel are similar in nature to this project.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
But contextually, they're not. It's backside.
And I know Dave said this at the very beginning, but I just want to clarify it for everybody. This board here is advisory. They listen to it and they give the recommendation or not a recommendation. So we should not have any frustration or anger towards this board. I think they hear us loud and clear. Where you need to be speaking is your supervisors. They're the ones. I've been at a meeting where they have voted no about a project. It gone up to the supervisors and they voted yes. So there's where you need to be speaking, people, is to your supervisors with your concerns and what you do not want to happen to your community. Speak to them. These guys are listening to you. That is where you need to go.
Okay, thank you, Jane. Appreciate that. Any other questions from the audience? Okay. Planning Commission questions.
That's a great question.
Anything that we haven't covered?
I think they'll just lay down because it's easier to do that.
Did the township consider appealing the Commonwealth Court's decision, or does anybody know? I was only basing that on what the gentleman said. So whatever jurisdiction it was, was there any discussion at all with the supervisors that anyone can? You know more about our supervisors than we know?
I do not.
You do not.
Our solicitor tends to hold.
Just curious, because we kind of got here in a very wonky kind of way, right? And I always use that expression, trying to shove 10 tons of coal into a 5-ton coal bed. And this is a really serious, I think, topographically, traffic-wise, it's got just so much with it that I don't think you can overcome it. So if you want to carry that message back, as one planning commission member, I don't know what the sentiments are of the rest of the board, but I'm sure you're taking notes, copious notes. This developer seems serious that he's willing to take us to court to get what he thinks he wants. But this has got some real serious issues, I think, that are hamstringing our community. So, you know, them not showing up today really sends a bad message, I think. They really put you out as, I mean, it's intentional, okay, that they didn't come tonight. That, you know, they're gonna come next month. They should have been here this evening to answer community questions, planning commission questions, share with us what their vision was, why they're doing what they're doing, but they chose not to. So you can take that back as well.
And I do want to be clear, they were not invited to tonight. Again, I wanted this to be
Invited by whom?
Us as the developer's representative. We're here to answer questions, get feedback, and then take that for them to come back at the next meeting with answers.
Yeah, but see, we go before a meeting expecting, we get the plans, I review them thoroughly, write up my questions, expect to vote on it, vote on the waivers, and then you tell me tonight it's informational. That should have been provided to us. I mean, it was obviously still ask questions, but even if it's informational, we need the information answered, and I think, like at the back what Tony says, it's like this is not a single family home. It's 10 buildings, it's gonna affect, whatever you change, changes forever.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they got that, so.
Well, this was, could I give a little bit of background on
Sure.
this? I've been here a long time, when we did our comprehensive plan back in '07, this property was not zoned village. I was an adjoiner and I was zoned village. This landowner came in, I have a plan that was an approved plan for this development back in '09. The supervisors back then and the zoning hearing board back then, this all started back then. Then I end up getting rezoned, but that's a whole different story. A lot of things happen. But there was an approved plan for 40 houses already on this land, 20 duplexes. The owner spent 2 years going through zoning hearing board. He even changed our ordinance to allow conservation by design in the village zone. I mean, he spent 2 years going through this, and then he never went through with it. But once you rezone it, it's rezoned forever. And this is an allowable use in that zone. I mean, yeah, it's not good, but they have spent a lot of money on this land already. It's not gonna go away. You gotta try and like add useful comments to make it better. I get it. I'm an adjoiner too. I'm gonna make comments. I'm gonna have apartment building in my face, like 50 foot off my property line, and then they're supposed to provide screening. They're having a 2-to-1 slope right from my property line. Any screening they do isn't gonna work because I'll be looking down at it. But they had made up, they wanna do a fence. I said at the zoning hearing meeting, I want a fence because my driveway will save them, if they're going up to the commercial area, would save them a quarter mile. They're gonna use my driveway as a shortcut. But they didn't submit a grading plan. Now that I see the plan, I don't want a fence. I think the grading and what screening they have will keep people from coming onto my property. But I'm gonna have to provide screening at ground level to try and block the buildings. So I mean, there's problems here, but I don't think you're gonna stop it.
But we need to make it as slow and as expensive as we can.
Well, I want to beg to differ on that comment because the zoning ordinance is to promote, protect, and facilitate, I'm going to read it right out of here, public health, safety, and general welfare, coordinated and practical community development, proper density of population. This is why we have an ordinance. Now, the supervisors, this planning commission has a responsibility to this community to protect the community members. So I don't think that just because they spent money and they did it, you know, however many years ago, 15, 17 years ago, that doesn't make it a situation where we've just got to roll over and say, well, it's going to happen. Because it doesn't have to happen, just like the previous developer abandoned the plan, apparently, for whatever reasons. It could have been economic, it could have been feasibilities, I don't know.
But they'll be back.
Pardon me?
Maybe with a different plan, they'll be back.
Maybe they'll find another piece of property that's more suitable to their needs. I don't know, Dale, but I don't think that we should discourage the community from showing up at the next planning commission meeting, the township supervisors meeting, writing letters, sending emails, speaking out in public comments, because it's inevitable. I don't feel that way at all. So that's up to you, what you want to do. But if you don't speak up, it is inevitable, okay? It's gonna happen.
They spent money on the property, I spent money on my property too.
Yeah, exactly.
They spent money for the land development and things, I spent money to buy my place.
Yeah,
My yard shouldn't be taken just to benefit them.
Well, just to clarify, just to clarify, in the village zone, permitted by special exception is a multifamily dwelling. But you know what that means, special exception? Yes. It means they have to go before the zoning board and get approval. That's right. It's not permitted by right. Group homes, single-family attached dwelling, single-family detached, two-family, that's permitted by right. Special exception is multifamily dwellings and two-family conversions. So, and then
Which means it's an allowable use
But
that
spec-
you may be able to add conditions to.
Right, but only is by special exception, right?
The special exception is that you could add conditions to it.
Well, Dale, there's a permitted by conditional use, which means single-family attached dwellings with conservation subdivision design, and single-family semi-detached dwelling conservation subdivision design. So we have permitted by right, special exception, and conditional use. So this is all in the village.
Right. Special
So they have
exception
still have
goes
to get
the zoning
approval.
board, and the conditional use would go to the
Oh, yeah,
supervisor.
sure. Well, anyway, and it's important because these ordinances go back to only 2006. And I, as an aside, I went to the Board of Supervisors, said, we got to update the ordinances. Subdivision land development ordinance, which is us. I think Maxine might have been on board at that time.
For the special.
Zoning board, and so, and the newest one was stormwater management, was 2012. And we should look at this because, to head off something like this, it has to get updated. So, but they are looking at other ordinances. I don't know if you're aware of this, but not these. I mean, some people are probably aware of it, but like tiny homes and other things, but no, these are, because this affects us.
That's it. Zoning hearing
Yeah.
has nothing to do with it.
No, no.
Anyway.
No, I was just saying that.
Mike, okay, because of all of these comments, orange,
Yeah, the first or second time they did it,
why,
but they got a little-
is there some thought that
Right.
maybe you could build this some other place in the township?
I'm not
as compared to
arguing
the, or any other place, instead of here?
I don't know if the developers looked at other land in Newberry or adjacent townships.
But obviously they do know, confirmed to me, that they do know about
They're gonna fight if you.
these people and their concerns.
I'm going to relay everything I've learned tonight to the developer and the attorney and the traffic engineer.
Thank you.
Not everybody got board of orders.
So, Mr. Shibley, in regards to, now there's two lots. Lot 1 is 2.36 acres. Lot 2 is 13.02 acres.
Yes.
Will anything be built, any building be built on Lot 1, which is 2.36 acres?
No, again, that'll be the lot for Mr. Wilt.
Okay, so the 10 buildings will be on 13.02 acres?
Correct.
Okay. On dedication of open space, will there be open space recreation or pay the recreation fee?
I have not confirmed with the developer on that. I would imagine, though, he will most likely do a fee in lieu of dedication.
Well, you'll find out?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good answer. All right. So we'll find out. Steep slopes. Oh, yeah, steep slopes on sheet number 7 is mentioned. Lot number 1 has 23 1,000 square feet, and lot 2, 41,000 square feet. Is that the only steep slopes in the whole of the 15 acres, 15 and a half acres?
So there are steep slopes on both lots. There's a difference between steep slope and very steep. The steep is just 15 to 25, and then very steep is 25 or greater. So there are steep slopes on both lots, and I believe on sheet 6, it shows the location of very steep slopes as well.
Because I believe you're looking for a waiver. Well, that's one thing. You know what? You are looking for a waiver?
Yes.
But use the wrong number. Use the old number, 614-025B, but you have to get the new section number. And what that is on slopes of 15 to 25%, the only permitted slope, this got me too, the only permitted grading beyond terms described above shall be in conjunction with the siting of a single-family dwelling, driveway, and septic system. We're talking about apartment buildings, not
Yes.
a single home.
Yep.
And you want a waiver for that?
Correct.
Oh, boy. Then you want a waiver for sidewalks and curbs.
That was something I had
side-
mentioned right in the beginning, that based on the conversation with WellSpan, early on we had talked with township staff about no sidewalk, but I think after that, we kind of have our answer. It seems like you guys would prefer to have the sidewalk.
Because right now you have, I think, the sidewalk coming out of the building
Correct.
to the parking lot. All right, so you can consider having a sidewalk along the building, parallel with the building, right?
Yes, and we'll add them along Church Road as well.
Okay. And the ordinance deal, it says sidewalks and curbs, not just sidewalks. And then, the plan does have a curb.
Yes.
But can you explain, is it only for Church Street or exactly what? Or in the where the buildings are, or what? Because you're looking for a waiver, but I mean, isn't there a
Yes.
curb in there?
So currently, that section is related to public roads. So anytime you're widening or the township road does not meet specification of your current ordinance, then you would widen to acceptable roadway widths, add sidewalk and curbing in the growth district. So currently, our plan internally has sidewalk and curbing, but we end that once it hits Church Road. But we'll amend the plan to include curbing and sidewalk along the road frontage of our property on Church.
Can you put that in your waiver? Because that was my question. I mean, because I'm looking at, you have curbs in the plan, and you have sidewalks. Why do you want a sidewalk curb waiver?
Yeah, we will be.
So, I mean, can you clarify that?
Yeah, we'll be eliminating that waiver
Okay.
for the next round.
Or just eliminate, okay, that
Yep.
sounds good. Okay. Yeah, because you have to make it easily understood. you
Yes.
know? Oh, how many dumpster locations are there? There's one near Building 1 and 7, proposed Building 1 and 7. How many dumpster locations are there?
We currently have 3 dumpster locations.
And okay, one is near Building 1 and 7. How about the other? You have 3 dumpsters? And where's the other?
Sorry, 4.
4?
Yes,
Okay.
we have one near Building 7, one near Building 8, 2 near Building 8, and 1 near Building 1.
2 near, wait, you said 1 by 7, right?
Yep.
And then 1 by 1?
1 by number 1.
And then 2 near 8?
Yes.
Number 8, okay. And the height of the building, you said that before, 41 feet?
That's the max height of the building. The mean height of the building is either 34 or 35.
So so what does mean height mean?
So there is a definition in the zoning ordinance, and I don't have it memorized, but mean height is essentially your max eave to your trim line, essentially, where the roof ends.
So your maximum, so like the peak, you mean?
So there's the peak, and then where it ends at the eave line, and then you take the mean of those, and that's your building height.
Of the roof?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yep.
Okay, so that's your. Never heard that before. So that's your mean height? So the peak, oops, oh shit. Okay, that's your mean, okay.
The building's as tall as it is. I mean,
And each building's gonna be about 5,700 square feet, and there's 10 buildings.
Yes,
And
approximately.
12 units per building.
Correct.
Dale.
It's so confusing with the numbers now.
Oh, your memo, integrated consulting memo of April 25th, 24 has only one waiver listed, but there's 3 on sheet 1. Why?
Yes, and we'll be working with township staff to either add or subtract from that list based on the current comments.
Okay. And hydrant location, now that's important. Where are your hydrant? I couldn't find them. And
I know that is a comment from Mr. Rudy to coordinate those with the fire chief.
Sure.
So we currently have one at the entrance
Now,
near
which sheet
Paddletown.
are you looking on?
14.
Sheet, let me take a look. Sheet 14, okay. All right. Okay, sheet 14. Okay, so there's one near Church Road, right?
Yep, and then as you continue through that access drive, there's one between buildings 3 and 10, and another one just planned north of building 6. So 3 fire hydrants in total.
So there's one by the entrance and then 2 internally.
Yes, and each of these buildings will be sprinklered
Okay.
with fire department connections.
Buildings. So what was that,
So you have
Jim?
one at the main entrance.
Main
and
entrance.
One between 2 and 3, and one between 5 and 6.
2 and 3, building 5 and 6, okay. But you're gonna check with the fire chief for the, like that's proposed, okay, yeah, because they would give an idea of the best location.
Yep, we're going to confirm with them.
Okay, good, thank you. And you want to, I know it's informational, but you want to submit this as a final plan, correct?
Yes, meeting all requirements of preliminary and final.
So it'll be substantially consistent with the final will be substantially consistent with the preliminary plan?
Yes.
Okay, just so you don't, and how about, how long construction time, like how many, what's the period?
I would have
I
to
mean,
double check.
all the approvals and the weather and everything is great.
I'd say once they start construction, it could be anywhere from 12 to 24 months to finish, but I'm not exactly sure. It all depends on supply chain.
Oh, definitely, yeah, okay. 12, 24 months, what else? Does any other planning commission member have any questions? You have a question, Jeff? Oh, okay. And you mentioned before, July 31st is the 90th day, right?
We had granted that, so there's no time or day period at that point. So as we approach that, if we're not ready to go in front of the Board of Supervisors before July 31st, we'll give another extension, usually 90 to 120 days.
And that's the fourth Tuesday, right? Maxine, of the month is the supervisor meeting? I think it's the fourth Tuesday, right? That's the fourth Tuesday of every month is the
Correct.
supervisor meeting, okay. All right. Anybody, any questions? Okay, so, okay, from the audience, yes, Pastor?
Again, Pastor Ron Weisel, 355 Church Road. Tony, you had brought up about I think the point made about the public health, wellness, safety. Are there any clear set parameters? And is that a way in which our township can come back and say, they may have met all the zoning and ordinance stuff, but this is just going to be too harmful to the community? Is there any more information that you can provide the gathered group here for just informational purposes?
You could draw a correlation. Let's say the traffic study comes back and shows that, there's safety concerns. This is where they would overlay the fact that it's it's a safety issue.
And so we're entrusting a company that's trying to develop, basically, is what I'm hearing then, to trust that traffic study when clearly, I'm not trying to accuse anyone, but I'm hearing and experiencing the traffic flow, and we're sort of just trusting that they've got our best interest at heart by offering their own
We're
traffic.
reviewing the traffic study
Sure.
against our ordinance, and then there's ordinance requirements in there, and they need to meet those. And if they don't, then they have to request waivers to those sections of the ordinance.
Sure, but my point is, why aren't we then utilizing our ability and autonomy to say we're going to offer our own traffic study to confirm the results of theirs, because they have their own interest designed to build this, whereas the community is basically saying this is a public safety hazard. And we've got grounds to say maybe we need to reinvestigate that with our own consultant to confirm that these numbers are really going to be matching up.
Yeah, and we do review it, but we don't complete our own traffic study, and this is typically how it's done. I mean, I'm not I'm not
sure.
Yeah.
But I'm questioning why it's always done that way, then, is what I'm basically getting at here. Especially with that standard, I think you'd be remiss in your duties to trust someone who's got a particular interest to move forward with when you're hearing all of this pushback on that exact issue and concerns that might not be accurate. When we're talking about 360 parking spots, that's a lot to me to suggest that traffic study is completely capturing the image of what is actually taking place there when all of us live there and watch it every day. So I'm just asking that be taken into serious consideration, given the essential nature of that space being massively overhauled into a completely different space based on these plans.
Well, Pastor, no, that's the way it works, because an applicant comes before us. They hire their own people, their own engineer, traffic study people, and then it's reviewed by our engineer, Bill Rudy, and then he gives a recommendation, and he does. He's very thorough. He doesn't like something, he'll tell what needs to be done, and it goes back, a number of emails going back and forth, phone calls, whatever Bill has to do to make it right.
Okay.
But then again, we have to follow ordinances which were written in 2006, which don't help. So anyway, so it's like you cannot, I know it's frustrating and it's difficult, but we can only go so far. And then the supervisors have to, they will listen to you. And they're not always going to vote the way you want or I want or anybody, but we have to follow certain ordinances that are already in place, certain rules. And sometimes, no, it is frustrating. It is. And
So if I could ask a follow-up question to that, then.
And you have a minute then.
Okay, thank you. So given that this ordinance was written in 2006, I mean, we're almost 2 decades out from that. Is there any precedent, or what does that look like should the township decide to revisit these ordinances while this conversation, this voting process is ongoing? Does that create any issues moving forward for them if the ordinances are changed in the midst of those proceedings?
Yeah, you'd be reviewing it under the current ordinance.
You can't go back.
Okay.
Whatever's in place.
Okay, yeah, thank you. This is the first time I've ever been to these kinds of meetings in my life, so I'm trying to also learn a little bit. Just one more final request, if I could. The last meeting at the zoning hearing, the room was probably, 3 times this filled? It seems to me that the word did not get out about this meeting very well. And I'm sure you guys were trying to follow all the Sunshine Law Acts. That's great. But Facebook and maybe a posted sign somewhere doesn't really capture enough, because I only happened to find out about it thanks to a god-awful Facebook algorithm let me know about someone posting in one of the groups that I'm a part of just by chance. So I don't know if there's any way, given the nature, the grandiose nature of this, I think it'd be wise to consider how most effectively to get the word out to continue this conversation with the community.
As planning commission, we have to be neutral. We're not.
Oh yeah, I'm not asking you to side either way on that. I'm just getting the word out to everyone.
Just check the township website, but it's only going to list an address or a name. But if you want more specific details, call the township, talk to a person. But it's going to say 1200 Ridge Road.
David says multifamily development for Zenith Construction.
And that's it.
That's all it is. It's very vague.
Yeah.
And it's you just need to wonder if it's put that way for a reason.
But if you want more details, you have to talk to a person, talk to an employer. Yeah. Yeah, no,
I did some digging in it, that's how I knew, and I made a post on Facebook, so.
And it may have been your post that I saw.
On there to tell everybody to show up.
Yeah, and I could not agree with you more on that. I feel like every time we pick up plans, we're sort of not that it's on Jeremy because he's just transferring
Sure,
it on.
sure.
But it's sort of the same, just the way I still don't exactly understand how the whole system's set up.
Sure.
But I feel the same way. I picked these up a few days ago. Busy weekend, got a chance to look at them, and it, not as long as I would like. And it's from our perspective, we're not employees of the township or anything.
Sure.
We're just so I couldn't agree with you more. It'd be nice to have a lot more information beforehand.
Yeah, and I'm not even so much worried about necessarily all the information that's going to be presented by whom or what. It's just knowing that the meeting is even happening. That it, here's the meeting, here's the plans, whatever it may be, even just the agenda. But it's, for someone who's kind of nominally familiar with this at best, if you want the community involved, which I would assume you would, because you want to hear their feelings, whatever their feelings are, it's just helpful for us to have a way to be in the know more readily, to be able to come to these meetings so that we can offer whatever feelings we have right, one way or the other.
That's important, yeah, okay.
So I'll close with that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, okay. I think maybe take maybe a couple more questions, 3 more questions. Well, get your next, okay, Sandra, good. And then, Josh, okay.
Me too. Sandra Gonzalez, 140 Oak Road. I'm going to reiterate, whatever you guys can do, you guys seem like some smart people. If you can think outside the box, how to slow this down, how to make it harder, how to put hurdles in the way, do whatever you can to fight for our community till we can see if we can stop this altogether. And just because it's the way it's always been done, heart surgery 20 years ago, they would have told you this is the way we do all our heart surgeries. 20 years later, innovation hits, new ideas hit, and they do it completely different than they used to. Just because that's the way we've always done traffic studies doesn't mean that's protecting the township residents. These companies work with these big developers all the time, and there has to be some pressure to acquiesce to what they're trying to accomplish. And I just think we need to think about that. And I know we got to do that at the supervisors levels. I know we've got to get past, sometimes our solicitor just throws his hands up and says, well, that's just how. I don't think so. If it was his property where they were taking his front yard, I think the solicitor may be able to think a little outside of the box for us. And I appreciate you guys really looking into this. I really do, because we have to see what we can do to undo this mess. And it is a mess.
Yeah, thank you.
Josh Grove, 385 Church Road. Just FYI, when that traffic study did happen, there was no accidents on the 83 that week, and there was nothing right outside the fire department that usually gets an accident. So the traffic studies will not reflect accidents that happened.
Yeah, and traffic studies really don't look at accidents. That's
Yeah,
not
but
what
you'll see
they're-
the increased flow, is what we're saying.
What was it done during COVID?
We look
No.
we look at peak hour trips is what we look
Yeah.
at. So.
But I'm just saying, like, when there's an accident there, the traffic's horrendous, and you're talking 800 trips a day. Now you're going to back cars up from the stop sign at Paddletown coming out on 382 all the way back down the hill. And yeah, and then you get school coming out and stuff. It's just, if there's an accident up at the fire department, all the traffic diverts on Paddletown and makes a right. It's a horrendous intersection when there is an accident, but I just wanted you to know that there was no accidents when that traffic study happened. I know the timetable because I drove over them every day.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for the questions. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Dale.
I also joined this development. So just a couple comments that, you have level 3 screening and a fence along the regional commercial office district.
Page.
Well, I'm at 16, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So, I kind of asked for a fence at the zoning hearing because I'm like, my driveway's a shortcut. But now with the grading and the level 3 screening, I don't think that fence, I don't want the fence. Because, well, you know, I could sit here and say, but with the slope, I think that, and the screening, that's gonna alleviate my problem that people are gonna actually come onto my property.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't think the fact, because you're showing grading from my parcel. It's doing a 2-to-1 slope to the building, and you're gonna plant screening on that slope, but I'll be looking down at it. So it's really not gonna screen it. It kind of doesn't meet the definition of screening in the zoning hearing book. But I don't think the fence is necessary, at least along my property. The other properties, that's up to them, but the one property was Bob Conley, where they were gonna do a stormwater pond right next to it. Then there's the other property, which is, I forget her name. She's an old school teacher, but that's a 2-acre property that is landlocked there. The only thing, and then since I'm requesting not to have the fence, because I'm gonna have to plant trees at grade on my property to try and screen it. I'd like to ask that your level 3 screening, that you would plant the trees and the evergreens at the top of the slope and all the other stuff lower part of the slope. And just another thing on that is you're offering level 1 screening behind building 1. Okay. I just want to say that maybe you could do level 3 screening behind that building. And my reason for that is those properties weren't zoned village. When they rezoned this village, the supervisors at the time rezoned them because to connect it to, like, because up at High Street was village, I was village, but these properties actually weren't. So at the same time, they did kind of rezone them. So I would just maybe hope that they could get an upgrade to the level 3 screening just around building 1 to protect those 2 households there.
Okay. And I can talk a little bit about that level 3. So there is an ordinance requirement that level 3 has to have plants and either a fence or a berm. So due to the grade, a fence is more practical. So the way we have that buffer laid out for the level 3 screening, there will be some evergreens and some deciduous. So those deciduous will get higher than the fence and the evergreens in the short term.
Right. Well, the fence, it's a stone wall. I don't want a fence on my property anyway, or even on the property line. Because it's not going to cover the building. Because when you look at the elevation of your building, it's 20 foot below my property line. Then you're proposing a 41-foot building, so it's up another 21 feet. A 6-foot fence, well, if I want it, your screening isn't going to cover it. So I'm going to add to that screening, but a fence would get in the way of that. I mean, I'm just asking you to work with me, you know.
Sure, and I'll discuss that with Bill. Maybe there's a way we can either put that fence somewhere else.
Well, right, I mean.
Elliot, can I get a fence with barbed wire? On my property?
Well, I can't put anything on your property.
No, that's.
Along our property.
Along it.
On your property.
I just think with the grading, because I did ask for a fence at the zoning hearing meeting.
Sure.
But there wasn't a grading plan, which was a requirement, so you have to throw out all stops. I mean, so like, I just think that isn't necessary. That's not really gonna do me any good.
Okay. Yeah, we can talk about that with Bill.
Right, I mean, and you know, Bill can talk to me about that also. I'm also a little concerned about the entrance. I mean, I thought we used to have an ordinance, but I couldn't quite locate it, that you have to have 100 foot from a different road intersection, but I'm not sure. I have the plan that was originally approved for here with the 40 houses.
Yes.
And they had an agreement with that homeowner there that there was some giant sycamores, if I remember. And they were kind of in the sight distance there, and they were gonna take them trees out. And they had an agreement with that homeowner, I think, at the time to do that.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that, but I am familiar with the plans.
I mean, do you have the good sight distance there for Paddletown? I mean,
I would need to double check with the traffic engineer on that, but I believe there's a comment related to the center line distance between an adjacent road and site distances.
Okay.
All of that has to be confirmed.
okay, I'm just bringing up concerns that I have.
Yep.
Dale, were you talking about the driveway standards where there's no more than 2 driveway connections per lot? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, this is a private driveway coming out onto a,
No, it's in the traffic comments. There's
Okay.
D4 with regards to what you're talking about.
okay, well, I appreciate that. And that's about, what else did I have? Wow. Check my notes. Yeah, I also, well, I want to mention the sidewalk in the growth area. I think I think we, like you said, we got to put the chicken before the egg. I'm going to advocate for that. And that's about all I got for now.
Okay, thank you.
But 50 years from now, they're gonna build,
Okay. I think is that it for the questions? Okay. Oh, you haven't spoken yet, have you? Okay, go ahead. Yeah, come, name and address, please.
Danny Greenberg, 405 Paddletown Road. At the beginning, he said you were going to extend Paddletown Road as well. Is that correct?
Widen a portion.
How far would you be widening that?
To the intersection of Rapid Slide.
So
Just that Y.
just at the Y there.
Yep.
So it wouldn't affect like further down from the Y.
Correct.
Because my garage is it's not too far from the Y, and it's only about 13 feet off the road.
Yeah, we're not proposing anything
So
past
it's
that
not
Y
going to go
intersection.
past the Y.
Yep.
Because I thought that Y is Church Road, isn't it?
The Y, the north side of the Y is Church Road and the south side is Rapid Slide.
Yeah, but you said Paddletown at the beginning.
Sorry. Based on the township and county maps, that is Paddletown for that section.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not actually widening Paddletown, the actual Paddletown Road?
Correct.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. That's it then. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I guess that's it for, all right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Why don't you table the plan till next month? Table the plan till
Okay,
next month.
is there a motion to table the plan?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, so be Tony and Tyler. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, now motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Jeff?
I second it.
Tyler? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?